We've recently reached over 1,000 days on our Hardcore 119 world, and in that time we've adventured across the lands, converted an island into our home, and built a whole bunch of farms to make our existence easier. And we got here over the course of 13 episodes, which I've stitched together into this handy 3-hour plus video. This will be great for those who like to watch something when studying, or something to watch when going to bed, or even just to relive our adventure so far and count how many things I said I'd do and still haven't done yet. So before we continue our adventure, let's take a look at how we got here. Previously, we survived 100 days of Minecraft Hardcore, we survived 200 days, we even survived 300 days. On day 304, however, mistakes were made. I don't want to talk about it. And I can't wait any longer, so we're starting a new hardcore world in 119 on a random seed. This time, however, we're going to take things slow. Well, slower. Do you have any idea how long it takes to make a 100 days video? Long. Very, very long. So this time, we're going to treat it like a standard Let's Play series, but, of course, with the added fear of dying and losing the world forever. So welcome to a brand new hardcore world, and look at that, we've got mountains straight off the bat in the background. This is a lovely spawn area. We've done okay. Are we actually in a bowl? There's mountains there as well. So we are playing in 1.19 pre-release 2. It's not quite out yet, but I couldn't wait any longer, and I figured, what with it being a pre-release, we're probably pretty much where we're at. There's only going to be minor bug changes, so we're probably safe to start. So that does mean that currently we're playing without any mods whatsoever, so I've got the render distance up quite high just at the moment so we can have a look around, and look how tall that peak is. Wow. But I will have to turn that down until I can get all the fancy shiny things that make the frame rates better. But this looks like a lovely spawn. There's even a jungle over there. Look at that. So let's get that render distance turned down. And, well, I think we all know what we're going to do to begin with, don't we? Let's go punch a tree. So we've got ourselves some basic stone tools, and I think I'm just going to have a little look around the area, see what we're dealing with, but I do like the look of the mountain ranges we've got here. That is very cool already, but I want to see what's over on this side of the hill as well, see if we can find ourselves a village or something more interesting. So I can't see a village on this side of the hill either, but there is an ocean just down there, and it looks like there's some plains over there, so that's probably our best bet to see if we can find ourselves a village, if we can make our way safely down, that is. Well, it looks like this is a very small plains biome, and we've just got more ocean, so I'm going to grab myself some food, and we're going to go on a little boating adventure and see what we can find. We've got some food cooking up, the sun's going down, and we've even managed to get ourselves a bed. Things are looking up. So we're also going to need a boat, and I think what I'm going to do is just stick a little pillar on this beach here. So I know that this is where we came in, this is where the spawn area is, and of course, that's where those magnificent mountains are. We're probably going to be building some stuff up around those at some point. Oh, that was a silly idea. Hopefully this isn't a sign of things to come. Let's quickly get our hearts back. Food's cooked, we've got a boat, let's go. So I think initially I'm just going to follow this coastline, see what we find. There's some sugarcane there, that's going to be handy a bit later when we come back. And look at that cliff. I have a feeling I'm not going to be straying too far from spawn initially. This is lovely. But let's hope there's a village not too far away for some early game loot. And look at these caves. Oh, just think of the possibilities with an area like this. This is so cool. One single piece. Sadness. So I don't have any plans for this series. We're just going to take it as it comes and see what the landscape inspires us to build. But ultimately, we're just going to try and survive. And there's a little bit more iron. I'm sorry, I'm getting so distracted already. But we're only 10 minutes in. I need to get this iron. One piece at a time, apparently. Oh, and it looks like there's an abandoned portal here as well. Let's have a quick look. Golden apple might come in handy. Let's just take everything. So as I was trying to say, we're just going to see what happens, really. We're going to let the landscape inspire our builds. We're going to try and survive for as long as possible, of course. Our record to beat is 304 days, which isn't a particularly long time, but then I'm not a particularly good player. So, well, it is how it is. Oh, drowned trident already. This is not going to be good. Jeez. Run away! I kind of want my boat back. Jeez. Oh, we did get a buried treasure map from this chest, though. Let's quickly leg it. Can't be taking risks this early in the game. So it looks like the treasure is over this way. And the sun's going down again already. Oh, and there's a village as well. Look at that. Perfect. So it looks like our treasure is just over there on that beach. And there it is. Look at that. Oh, diamonds. Look at that. 4 diamonds already, straight off the bat. Amazing. This is a very good chest, I like. Let's go check out this village as well. So the village didn't have anything particularly interesting. There wasn't a blacksmith, sadly, but we do, of course, now have spruce saplings, which is going to be very, very good for us. We like spruce, we like to build with it, and we probably will be building with it fairly soon. Is that a pink sheep? Oh, what? There's a pink sheep. A naturally spawned pink sheep already. I'll be back for you, don't you worry. For now, though, I think we're going to go back down and get back in our boat, and we're going to go and explore in the other direction from where we spawned, and just see if there's anything interesting in that direction too. But it's good to know we've got some villagers close by, and I've also trapped a few in their houses already, so we can come back and get these as and when we need them. Plus, our inventory's full as well. Oh, actually, wait a minute. This is 119. So if we make a chest, can we... How do we do it? Do we crouch click? Or do I actually have to craft a chest boat? Is that how it works? Like a minecart? Ah, there it is. Ha! Look at that! How amazing is that? Well, I'm a big fan of this. This is amazing. We've actually got an empty inventory again, so that means I can actually go and grab things like the sugarcane, and we can just stock up on all the resources while we're out here. So we've just made it back to where we originally set off, and I think I'm just going to empty my inventory, and then we'll quickly grab the things we know we want to take with us so that we can have as much space as possible in our boat, and I think it's probably a wise idea to keep that apple on me just in case. So I think I'm going to use these diamonds to make myself a diamond pick, and I'm going to make myself some iron tools as well. And of course a bucket. A bucket can be a lifesaver in hardcore. And of course, a shield. Can't go wrong with a shield. So let's head off this way and see what we find in this direction. Not gone too far, and I've just spotted another village, so let's go check that one out. Ah, excellent. It's got a library. Let's steal all the books. Look at this. There's a massive library. I don't think we've ever seen one like this. What a strange layout. Sorry. We've managed to get a bunch of books and lecterns and some hay bales, and of course we got a little bit of iron from the golem there, but as tempting as it is to settle down here, I think I'm going to keep on moving. I don't think I can face listening to villagers all the time right now. So let's continue our adventure by boat and explore a little bit further. Although I have to say, I do quite like the look of this little island. That could be a nice place to set up a little starting base. And it's right next to the village as well. And look at that, just around the corner, we've got a desert and also a mesa. I think this is just ideal, really. So our little island we were just looking at is pretty much just out of render distance in that direction, and with all the biomes we've got around here, it's very close to spawn as well. I think that might be a good thing to do, because I don't want to start in spawn itself, because that's just going to cause lag issues further down the road. Because the thing with spawn is it always stays loaded, and I'm pretty sure I just saw a desert temple over here somewhere. Yes, there it is, look. Hidden in the sand. So yeah, I think if we were to move out onto that island just over there, that's going to be close enough to spawn that we can build like an iron farm there that's always running, but far enough away that we're not going to be causing any lag with our actual base itself. Okay, let's see if we can take a little peek in here. Wonder how dangerous this is going to be. In fact, we'll use the old water trick. Well, it looks clear up here for now. Let's go take a look inside. Straight away we'll get rid of that. That's going to solve any potential problems and mishaps. So we got a few more golden apples from that, which is going to be very handy, and I think I'm going to grab the TNT as well while we're here. Well, I think we're done exploring over here for now, and I have decided we are definitely going to go set up on the island we spotted just back this way. So let's head over there. We're probably going to need to do a bit of clearing. There's quite dense jungle in parts of that island, but I think that's going to be a really good place to start. I don't really want to go too far into the mesa, because that's going to be absolutely riddled with mine shafts, and that means poisonous spiders, and that will ultimately just mean death at this stage. So I've just come back to my boat, and I spy an azalea tree over there. And this, of course, can only mean one thing. There's going to be a lush cave down there, so I'm going to leave it there for now, because that's a nice little marker, especially out here in the desert. Can't really miss it. It looks like there's an abandoned portal here as well. And yet another golden apple. I'm just not surprised at this stage. So I think this is the island we're going to be calling home at the start here, and it's a reasonable size. It just needs a lot of clearing, but the bonus to that is I'm going to end up with a whole lot of wood. And then, of course, I can use that wood to build myself a lovely little starter house. I think the sooner I do this, the better, because it's quite dense in some places, and there's also a bit of bamboo here and there, which means we might get pandas. I'm not entirely sure how that works. But the sooner we can get this forest floor cleared, the safer it's going to be for us. And just over here from the other side of the island, we can, of course, see that the village is very very close indeed. So that's going to be amazing for sorting out some kind of villager trading system fairly early on. And the good news is spawn's only about 200 or 300 blocks directly across the ocean in that direction. So I guess I'm going to be spending a little bit of time doing some clearing work here. I'm also going to pop back to spawn and just go pick up the rest of the stuff we got on the first trip where we went in the other direction. And I'll bring you back in once we've made a bit of progress. Well, it's a couple of hours later, but we've cleared a massive area and we've also lit up lots of it. I've stayed awake at night as well and nothing spawned. But although I've cleared the space, it still looks horrible. I want to replace all this stone and gravel with some dirt and grass and things like that. But also, I do want to go and get some of the new blocks, which means we need to go find ourselves a mangrove swamp. And I've absolutely no idea where one is. So we've been, what way did we go? We've been that way and we found the desert and the mesa. We've been that way and that's where spawn is and the other village. But we haven't gone across the ocean this way yet. So I think it's just about time for another adventure. We're going to gather all the materials we need. And when we come back, we're going to build our starter home. Which, to be honest, I'm looking quite forward to because we've been sleeping under the stars for way too long. I should probably take some more food with me, actually. I don't think 7 pieces of pork are going to last. Now, instead of setting off blindly, we're a bit more prepared. I've got a bed, we've got a bunch more food, we've got all the tools we need. So I think we're good to go on an adventure. Future Beardy, play some adventuring music. Whoa, 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 whoa. Not that. Play something better. That's more like it. All right. Oh, wow, look at that. It has been absolutely forever, though, and I still haven't found a swamp. Oh. Oh, is that it there? Oh, it is. Oh, amazing. And there's a village right on the border of it as well. Oh, those roots look amazing. That is well cool. Probably quite dangerous in there, though. So that just seems to be a small patch of swamp there by the side of that village. But then there's even more swamp over there. And look how dense that is as well. That looks terrifying. I think we'll just steal a bit of the small one for now. We'll come back here later when we're a bit better prepared. Well, the weather's turned nasty just as I'm about to chop some down, but I think what I want to do is just grab a few of the saplings and grab some of the mud, and we'll try and leave as much of this intact as possible. Ooh. Oh, that sounds disgusting. It's the next day, the weather's cleared, and I think we've got what we need. We've just grabbed a little bit of mud and whatever this is, muddy mangrove roots. We've got a few roots as well, but mainly we've got the mangrove propagules, and that's what we're going to need to get all the wood without actually destroying the swamp itself. But we'll be back here to explore properly in future. For now, though, let's go and build our starter house. Although I'm about 3,000 blocks away, so it's going to take a while to get home. Oh, these are going to be a pain to harvest. Can confirm that stuff is indeed an absolute pain to harvest. And I've also got some shiny armor. I got scared, okay? But the pain of collecting mangrove was all worth it because it works so well as a roof block here. And we've also managed to tie in some netherrack as well. I mean, something that actually goes with netherrack and looks good. I'm pleased with this. We also made use of the new mud blocks as well. I just wanted to experiment with the new blocks, really. And I think we've done okay. Hopefully we can improve it over time when we get a bit more variety. But although the outside is looking fairly complete, the interior itself is still a little bit lacking, as you can see. We've got some floors in, we've got different levels, we're going to have a basement down here, which doesn't even have a floor yet because I ran out of blocks. And this bit down here is going to be our mine entrance, and that does, of course, lead back outside again as well. Back up here, though, we've also got a floor on the upstairs. I've put in a little bit of storage. We're going to have a bedroom over here, and once again, I need to actually mix up the woods a bit. And one thing I don't have, but I really, really want to get is some dark oak. But that's going to require another adventure because we've been adventuring quite a long way, in fact. We've been a good couple of thousand blocks in a couple of directions now, and we haven't come across a dark oak forest. So that's something we're going to have to search for at some point in future. The build itself doesn't sit particularly well on the landscape just yet, but we will build this up over time, of course, and it'll hopefully end up looking quite nice. But I am very pleased with what we managed to achieve so far this episode. The only thing left to do now, really, is to figure out what I want to do with the interior, and I do actually just need to go do some mining to get some resources. I need to do a bit more wood collection and gathering, and of course, as I said, I do need to go find some dark oak before we can even do the interior. Last episode, we started a brand new hardcore world in 1.19 and nearly nearly died. We then went boating and nearly died, and then we set up a starter home on a tiny jungle island after finding our first swamp. Since then, I've got myself a little bit of basic iron armor, and we've chopped down every single last tree on this island. And now I can actually see what I'm working with. Cats. Lots of cats, or ocelots? I think they're called ocelots, aren't they?
Yep.
But they keep spawning. Luckily, no pandas. You may also notice that my little mini chest monster that we had started out here has gone, and that's because I've done a bit of work on the interior, although I still haven't found any dark oak, so that's a mission for today. But if we head up here and inside, I've basically just turned the entire building into storage. There's boxes everywhere. Some of them don't have labels because they are currently empty, but I've sorted it out in a manner which should help us out at least a little bit at the start here. I also added a basement area down here. This is the sort of stone cover, but I dug down a little bit further, and this is actually the main storage room. Once again, fairly basic, but we're very limited on resources at the moment. It's all very sprucey, but hopefully we can solve that a little bit later today. And lastly, if we come out here, I've also dug a tunnel down there, and that is going to serve as our mine. I've put in 2 levels, one level which should be good for iron, and another level which is hopefully going to be quite good for diamond. And what with this being a hardcore world and me being me, diamond is going to be the first thing on our list, I think. So I'm going to need myself a bunch of tools. We've got a few iron picks, but we're going to need more because our diamond one's nearly dead already. We've got food, torches, a bunch of picks, and a shield just in case we break through into any caves. And let's see if we can get ourselves some diamonds. And once we've done that, the plan today is going to be to sort out a decent iron supply. So hopefully we're going to get ourselves an iron farm up and running a little bit later on. So down the bottom here, I've just carved out where lots and lots of diamond searching tunnels are going to go over time, and we've also got a level slightly lower down as well because I couldn't actually remember what was the better level. I don't think it makes too much difference between these two, but at least it stops us from going too far in a certain direction because we've got twice as much space to mine. Right, let's get started. Well, that hasn't taken too long at all. We've actually found some diamonds, and actually maybe we went further than I thought. It didn't feel that long. Let's dig these out and see how many we've got. Looks like there's 6 diamonds here, and that gives me an idea. I'm just going to grab 3 of these for now. We're going to make ourselves a diamond pickaxe. And if I remember correctly, we have a Fortune 3 book, which is from our earlier explorations. And if I put this on, we can get more diamonds out of the ones that still remain there. And now hopefully we're going to get better returns when we mine up the rest of these. Look at that, we've got 7 diamonds from 3 ore. Excellent. Let's carry on digging. We made it back safely. That wasn't such a bad mining trip either. We managed to get ourselves 43 diamonds, which is of course more than enough to get ourselves kitted out. But on top of that, we also got some lapis, a little bit of iron and gold, and of course some redstone. So yeah, not bad at all for about half hour's work. So let's get ourselves kitted out. We will have one of those, one of those, one of those, and of course one of those. And we've still got 19 diamonds left, so we can probably get ourselves a sword and other bits and bobs as and when we need them. But for now, let's stash these diamonds away somewhere safe. Actually, thinking about it, we've got some obsidian as well from our exploring. So how about we actually make ourselves an enchanting table? And with the amount of books we stole from those libraries, we'll actually be able to do ourselves an entire enchanting setup. So actually, maybe that's something we should do. But I don't think we're going to fit it anywhere upstairs here. Although actually I could repurpose this from here. We could always move our bedroom elsewhere, and this will actually make a perfect enchanting room. At least as the temporary one until we do something proper. So let's make ourselves one of those and a bunch of bookshelves. Remove our old bedroom, plonk down a bunch of bookshelves. Marvellous, and we'll put that in the middle. And that does in fact give us level 30 enchants, which is perfect. In fact, that was Fortune 3. Oh no, we've already got that. What I'll also do is put this here to store all of the lapis in. And although we're not level 30, it might be worth seeing what enchants we can get on our armor, because even a little bit of protection is going to be better than none. Well, we actually managed to get protection 2 on every single piece of armor, which worked out okay, I guess. Oh, that feels so much better. However, since this was our first set of armor, I think it's only fair we give that its own little place there. Perfect. So with the problem of safety partially solved, I think it's on to the next problem, and that is dark oak. I really, really want some, and I don't have any. So it's time for us to jump in another boat, and I think it's only right that we actually make ourselves a mangrove boat. I don't have any mangrove wood. Okay then, let's not do that. Oak boat of shame it is. So I think this time we're going to set off in this direction, and hopefully we'll find ourselves some dark oak. 2 hours. That's how long I've been in a boat, and look what I find. A tiny, tiny dark oak forest next to a jungle. It doesn't even make sense being here, but I'm absolutely fine with it because it means I can finally get my saplings and get back home. Saplings acquired, let's go home. Question is, what direction is home? We've made it home, I've planted a bunch of saplings, and while they grow, I think we're going to start working out what we want to do about an iron farm. There's a couple of things I need to get sorted out here, one of which is, of course, a food supply, but I really need an iron supply as well. And what with the village being just over that way, which is not too far at all, I think it should be fairly straightforward for us to get a couple of villagers up here on this hill, hanging out with all the ocelots, and we'll stick an iron farm up here. And then, of course, we need to find a way to disguise it and make it look pretty, but I don't know what we can do about that yet. So there's a few things I'm going to need for this iron farm. We will, of course, be building the always reliable Grandma Mummy iron farm, which is very, very small, quick to do, and doesn't take too many resources. But I don't think I have any of the resources I really need. Oh, actually, tell a lie, we've probably got more than enough sand that we can turn into glass. We've probably just about got enough iron for the hoppers. We've certainly got enough wood for the chests. But I don't think I actually have any wool anywhere. So, yeah, we're going to have to go hunt some sheep. And we need that to make 3 more beds. And now the glass is all cooked up. I think that's pretty much everything we're going to need to get this very simple iron farm started. Although we're also going to need a couple of villagers, but we'll tackle that once we've actually built the thing. Now, what with this being such a small and very straightforward iron farm, I think I'm just going to build it up in the air here. It only needs to go 7 or 8 blocks away from the surface. And then we're going to try and think of a way to hide it. I don't really know exactly how we're going to do that yet. But for now, I'm just going to try it and find a spot. And I think that spot is going to be just here. So let's go up about 10 blocks or so to begin with, just to make sure we're not going to have any problems, and let's get started on this build. So I have built this iron farm a bunch of times before. It's only a little starter one. It will definitely produce enough iron for me at the start of the game here, but at some point in future we're definitely going to have to make a giant one. But for now, this is definitely going to sort us out and put us in a situation where we don't need to worry about iron. A few minutes later, I've got the beds in, I've got the bit where the zombie's going to go. However, I severely underestimated how much glass I was going to need. So I think we're actually going to have to go on a quick mission to go get some sand, because I don't even have any sand in order to get more glass. But I think it's safe to say that's also going to look absolutely horrific, so we're probably going to have to do something to hide that in this episode as well. I don't want this island looking ugly, and, well, that's definitely going to make it look ugly. Conveniently, the desert's not too far away. I've just got to go over these hills here. In fact, I can look. I can see my base and the desert in one. Excellent. Oof, I really need to get some efficiency on this shovel. Got ourselves another 4 and a bit stacks of sand. That should be more than enough, so let's cook that up. Extra glass has been acquired, so hopefully we can actually get this finished now. So that's the villager chamber complete, the zombie chamber complete, and now we just need the spawning platform. If we punch out a hole in the middle going... Ooh, do we want to go that way? Actually, let's go this way with the hoppers. We'll just put a temporary chest there for now to store things when it first kicks off. We are, of course, going to need to sort out some kind of storage. With the spawning platform in, we just need to put some trapdoors around the top here. Get rid of that block and replace it with a lava bucket. And that is, of course, what's going to kill our golems. The last thing we need to do is to get the water in to push all the golems into the middle once they spawn. And there we go. That is the structure of the iron farm complete. Like I said, very simple and doesn't use too many resources, which is nice. But now comes the hard part. We need to get ourselves some villagers and get them into this farm. So we are, of course, going to be bringing the villagers from the village just over there on the horizon. And that means I need to make a decent walkway for them to get up there. And to be honest, I might just start here and go up in a step format, and then we can use workstations to bribe them into their beds. Although in saying that, we do only have a few villagers over there, so I'm actually going to need to breed them up a little bit as well. And although I do want to make a villager breeder, that's not something we're going to be doing today. For now, we'll just do it the old-fashioned way and lock them in a house together. So we've got a couple trapped in a building here right on the edge of the village, and I forgot to bring any beds with me. Yep, let's go get some beds so they can actually make babies, shall we? Well, they have beds, but they're still not breeding. However, there are actually more villagers here than I initially thought, so we're actually just going to steal a couple for now, and hopefully the ones in the barn will start breeding at some point soon. Now, here's to hoping that this goes well. So if I put a workstation there, in theory, he should get out of the boat and go straight for the workstation. At least that's the hope. Well, he certainly did, so now if we put down a second one, and so on, we should be able to lead him all the way where we need him. So let's put one at the top here, get rid of that one. Get rid of that one. And there we go. He'll just work his way up there all on his own. Excellent. So with the first one in there successfully, let's just go grab another one and hope it goes just as well the second time round. Come on, fella. In you get. Second villager en route. Let's try that again, shall we? That last one just wasn't cooperating. This one's working much better. Go on, fella. Keep going. That's 2 down, 1 to go. Now, you make sure you don't mess me around, sir. He's doing well so far. And now for the last one. Go on. Yes. Do it. And there we go. All 3 villagers are in bed. Sorted. Now we do need to sort out a zombie, however. But as the sun is now going down, now might not be a bad time to try and get one. So let's go see if I've got a gold helmet or something laying around somewhere. I'm pretty sure we've looted quite a few from some portals, and I think I might actually have one in a boat over here somewhere. Yep, that I do. So I'm going to remove a few of these torches and hopefully we can get a zombie to spawn in, and hopefully we'll actually get one that will wear the gold helmet, and then we don't need to worry about trying to find a name tag. So let's back off and see what we get. Oh, there's a creeper. That's not ideal. And we have a skeleton and a spider. Where's the zombies at? More skellies and spiders. Okay, we might have to clear a few of these out just so we can actually get the zombies we need. Let's try that again and hope we get a zombie this time. There we go. I see a zombie. Let's see if he'll pick up this helmet. He will! Excellent. Right, come with me, sir. Get out of it, Spidey. Right, let's lure this dude over here. Come on, fella, that's it. Find the stairs. If we remove that one, he should drop down. And if we can block him in behind... Oh, look at that, we're getting a golem already. Amazing. Well, it works. Ah, look at that, we can see another golem burning as well. I have to say, I really do love this farm, and if you do want to build one yourself, I will link in the description the tutorial to Grandma Mummy. She is the one who designed this, and it has never failed me. I build it pretty early on in every world that I have on Java, and it's a really good early game source of iron. So with the iron farm working, we now need to figure out how we're actually going to, well, make it look good. A giant floating glass block in the sky is not ideal, and of course, we can't really access the storage very easily, because currently it's just that tiny little box at the top there, so we need to bring down the actual storage for it as well, and it'd be quite nice to filter out the poppies and make sure that they're getting composted and turned into bone meal and so on. But in order to make that happen, we're gonna need to go to the Nether because, well, we're gonna need quartz. And we haven't been to the Nether yet. We haven't even got a Nether portal set up. So maybe today's the day. Maybe we should actually find somewhere to put this portal, go check out the Nether, and basically just grab ourselves a bit of quartz. I don't want to spend loads of time in there this time round. We'll save that for a future episode. But, well, without the quartz, we can't really make our comparators, can we? So to prep for going to the Nether, we're going to take ourselves a golden helmet. I suppose it'd probably help to take a flint and steel as well. And, of course, some obsidian, but we only need 10, so that should be fine. So this is only going to be a temporary portal. We're going to do something nice a bit later on, but I guess I do kind of want to put it in the place where it's probably going to end up. And I don't know where that is. Maybe just over the back here somewhere for now. Well, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit nervous, but we're quite well protected. We've got a shield, we've got a gold helmet, and we've got some protection on our armor, so hopefully we'll be okay. Let's see what we get. Please don't be a Soul Sand Valley. I hate them. Always. Why is it always a Soul Sand Valley? Right, there's no bad things coming from the top. Is that a bastion right there? That is a bastion. Right there. Excellent. So, all we need is some quartz. So, let's see what we can get. And we've got a crimson forest as well. I mean, it's not the best nether spawn, but it's not the worst. Let's just go over here into the wastes, I think. It's probably going to be the safest place for us to try and get some quartz. And, oh my days, there's lava falling from everywhere. And I'm being shot. Let's just run. Okay, so we should be nice and safe over here. That's going to give time for all the lava to fall down from above. And hopefully, we can just grab this and run. Well, I've got 30 quartz. That'll be more than enough for now. That's all we need. We'll come back here a bit later on when we're feeling braver. For now, though, let's just jump back through our portal and leg it away from here. Oh, I hate Soul Sand Valley so much. Just let me get away. Okay. Everything's fine. We're back safe. Problem over. In fact, what I'm going to do is just quickly break this for now because I don't want stuff coming through and I don't want creepers going through to the Nether should any happen to spawn on the island. And this just feels like the safest way to avoid that problem. Look, I'm a little bit nervous about the Nether, okay? Now we've got some quartz, however, we can make our comparator and we're probably going to need a couple of them as well. So now we've got that, I can sort out a basic sorting system, and once again we can see the golems burning away. This is good because I'm gonna need the iron to actually be able to make this, but it's not gonna be anything special. It's gonna be very boring, so I'm just gonna crack on with this and I'll bring you back in once it's done. And that should just about do it for now until we decide how we're actually gonna make this thing look. But all the iron will go into these 3 chests here, and we're actually just filtering out the poppies, putting them through a composter, and that will get us some bone meal. It's a very straightforward thing, but that at least means we're getting lots and lots of iron. it just looks horrible, doesn't it? It looks absolutely disgusting. But I'm not going to worry about that for now, because so far this episode we have made ourselves a little bit safer. We've sorted out a supply of iron, but we're still starving quite regularly. So I think we need to sort ourselves out some food, and I might just plant a few fields out here for now. Make the area look a bit nicer, make it look a bit more lived in, and I should probably chop down all these trees as well. Trees have gone, and I've added a couple of fields in here. We've just got wheat growing down the bottom here for our bread, and we've got, well, not many carrots, but we've got some carrots and a few potatoes growing as well, and we'll just grow up these fields as we need to. But in doing that, I did actually discover I've got almost 2 stacks of hay bales from all the villages we've raided. So we're probably good for food for a little while anyway. But on the plus side, this looks a little bit nicer around here, apart from the horrible, horrible portal in the background. We'll have to get that sorted. But while I was working on those, I did notice a slight problem over here with the iron farm, and that is that it just stopped producing golems, and for some reason the villagers just weren't getting scared. I don't really know what the problem was, so I've made a slight adjustment here. The zombie just goes backwards and forwards on this rail now, and the second he started moving and went out of sight and came back, the golems started reappearing again. So yeah, don't really know what that's about, but then I don't really know much about villager mechanics. But with that little fix in place, the iron farm has been producing nicely, and the poppies should be filtering through as well now. Yep, that's full up, and we should be starting to get some more bone meal. So iron bone meal sorted, we've got some crops sorted, and most importantly, we're a lot safer with our diamond armor. On the last episode of Hardcore Minecraft, we found some diamonds to strengthen our defense, we built ourselves an iron farm for infinite iron, and then we did a bit of terraforming out the front of our house and planted some fields for a food supply. And between episodes, you'll be delighted to hear I've done absolutely nothing. Not a thing. So what with having done nothing in between episodes, that means we've got our work cut out for us today. There's a few things I want to do in regards to infrastructure around here, and of course I do want to make sure that I hide the iron farm over there, and we may even get the portal set up properly as well, so that we're ready to do a proper nether exploration some point in the near future. The very first thing I want to do though is to build a bridge across here, because we're going to be doing some work with villagers, and I think it would be nice to actually have a way to get to and from the other island without having to get our feet wet. Plus it's what I do. I'm a builder. I want the area to look nice. Speaking of which, we're also going to have to hide the iron farm at some point later on. But first off, let's just do a nice little chilled bridge build. Although instead of down there, I think I'm actually going to put the bridge in across this bit here, because the ground's a little bit more level, and that should make things look a little bit better once we're finished. Although I do need to do some flattening over there first. Well, it may not be perfect, but it's definitely better. We can at least receive a bridge on this side now without having to go up about 6 blocks, but we will sort out the rest of this landscape a little bit further down the line. For now, though, let's actually make a start on this bridge, shall we? Well, it's not quite finished, however, we are certainly getting there. It just looks a little bit feeble underneath, so we're going to need to do something to make it look a little bit more solid down here, but I do like the top and the mangrove wood. Just once again, I love it. I followed the same colour palette as over here, of course, but I think that really works well. My one problem, however, has been a lack of wood, so we've been chopping wood and building with it straight away, and now I need more mangrove wood, and that stuff is an absolute pain to harvest, so I'm going to crack on with that, and hopefully when I bring you back in, the bridge will be a little bit more complete and looking a little bit more like that. I'm still not 100% sold on the underneath here. I still think it looks a little bit weak in certain places, so we might actually bulk out the stone underneath and actually sort of, you know, put in another layer or something. I don't really know, but for now I think that's going to be absolutely fine. Although, something else I think this area needs is a little bit more foliage. And I don't mean more bushes and things like that, I actually mean maybe a couple of custom trees. Maybe having one here right by the entrance to the bridge would look quite nice, but that's something we'll tackle a little bit later on. It's not really on my agenda for today. Something that is on my agenda for today, however, frogs. So in the first episode, we did go all the way to the swamp and we didn't actually catch ourselves any frogs. And that's something I want to change, but I need to empty my inventory first. We've got a whole mess in here left over from the bridge. Much better. So for this trip, we're going to need a bunch of buckets so we can actually pick up the tadpoles, and I might actually make a few more than we've got. I think it's time to take a trip to the iron farm. Clearly, the golems have been burning away nicely up here. Excellent stuff. So I think that's everything we're going to need. We have, of course, got a mangrove boat this time, doing it in style. And while we're there, I also want to stop off at the mesa to get ourselves some terracotta, because when we get back, we're finally going to be hiding that mess that is the iron farm. First, though, epic boat journey. Ooh, the bridge looks nice from the water as well. Ignore the fact the columns aren't actually connected to the seafloor yet. They will be. I just don't have enough stone because I don't have silk touch pick yet, and I don't actually have enough coal to cook up lots of cobble. So we will connect that up. It's just going to have to wait a little bit until we sort out the villagers, or potentially get lucky on the enchanting table. So the good news is now the full release of 1.19 is out. We've actually got some of our mods back. We've got sodium on, which means we can have a higher render distance. And look at that mesa over there. That is very cool. And in fact, it's a lot bigger than I expected. I thought it was just over that side. But my hope is that on the way back to the swamp this time, maybe we'll spot a little bit more and find something of interest. I'm mainly going to be keeping an eye out for some outposts because I'd love to get myself an allay as well if we can. We've not gone too far as yet, but I've just spotted a desert temple up here, and I can't just leave it. It's kind of in the opposite direction of where we're supposed to be going. We're supposed to be heading off that way, but as I say, I can't just leave it there, can I? Who knows, maybe we'll get an enchanted apple from here. Well, we've got some diamonds, but we still haven't found an enchanted apple yet. We've got one more chest to check. And no enchanted apple. Oh well. Right, enough distractions. Let's get back to this swamp. And there it is. There's the swamp. And once we get there, we just need to hang out until night time, and hopefully we can hunt a few slimes. And in the meantime, we'll keep our eyes peeled for frogs as well. So straight off the bat, we've actually got some frogs here, but I can't do anything with them because I do need that slime. And the reason we need that, of course, is because that's what we need to feed these frogs in order to get them to breed and to lay some tadpoles. I mean frog spawn. They lay frog spawn. And then we need to wait for the frog spawn to hatch into tadpoles, and then we'll collect those in the buckets. But of course we can't do any of this without that slime. So I guess for now, we're just gonna have to watch the sun and wait for nighttime to arrive. Nighttime is just about here, so what I'm gonna do is quickly just create a little safe zone around here, somewhere that's lit up so I can put a bed down and hopefully not die. Probably eat myself a little bit of food as well. And now we need to go hunt for some slimes. Hopefully some are going to arrive. I don't know what state the moon's in because they do, of course, spawn more on a full moon. What have we got? Okay, it's looking pretty good, so hopefully we'll get a decent amount of slimes. Although just one giant slime will probably give us what we need. Well, there's a lot of zombies. Jeez. There we go. There's the slime. That's what we need. Let's see if we can get in there and deal with him. We managed to get 9 slime balls from that mess, so let's quickly sleep the night away and get to breeding some frogs. So I'm going to have to keep an eye out for some creepers in the woods because they really do blend in. And look at that, there's another slime there as well. Got that, loads more slime. So come on, fella, let's bring you outside and see if we can find another frog. There were definitely a couple around here somewhere. That's hilarious. Look how fast he's walking. So give them both some slime and hopefully they should do something. I don't really know how this works. Look at that, we got the parrots and the bats as well. These are actually the first things we've bred. And now I think one of these should now come to the water's edge, lay some frog spawn, and then we just need to sit there and watch it until it actually hatches. It looks like it's going to be this one here. Excellent, look at that. Perfect. So I want to make sure the tadpoles don't go flying everywhere when they actually hatch. So what we're going to do is actually trap this area in just a little bit, and hopefully that should make them easier to catch. I feel like I've been standing here forever. I don't know how long these things actually take to hatch. Oh, there we go. They've just hatched, and look at that. It looks like we've actually got 5 tadpoles just from that one little batch of frog spawn. Amazing. Now we've just got to scoop them up. So with those 5 tadpoles, we'll be able to breed up lots more frogs when we get back to our island. But for now, I think we're going to go get ourselves some terracotta. So it's time to head back to the mesa. We'll just grab a little bit of this and a few of these. I think that's just about everything we need. Let's get home, shall we? Here we are, home sweet home. So I think the first thing we need to do is actually make a little pond somewhere for the frogs to hang out and live. And of course, somewhere they can grow up. And I think we might do that just over here near the wheat fields. On reflection, I think it might make more sense to have a little pond up here. And then when we get the tree in, it'll be a nice area for the frogs to live. So the first thing we need to do is just dig a big hole. Wait a minute, there might be a quicker way. I think that's done the trick just nicely. That looks like a reasonable size for the frogs to live in. We just need to actually make it look a bit nicer on the ground here. We'll mix in some andesite and cobble and whatnot. And of course, we need to fill it with water. So first up, let's mix in a little bit of cobble around some of the edges. We'll mix in a bit of mossy cobble as well. Maybe even some tuff. How's that going to look? Yeah, that works well. Okay, so before we go too much further, I need to get the water in so that I can actually put some water logs, slabs, and stairs in there. There we go. And now with the water in, we can actually do a little bit more in regards to the shaping of the bottom here. We'll mix in some coarse dirt and some path bits around the edges here. And then we'll add a little bit of foliage here and there. Get some of that into the lake as well. A couple of sea pickles here and there. And I think for now, that'll just about do, which means we're ready to put the last few tadpoles in. The initial ones still haven't grown up yet, but I'm sure they won't be too far away. And hopefully once we get a few more blocks and things, we can actually make this look a little bit better. There's still some other things I want to do. But for now, I think we're just about ready to make a start on hiding this iron farm. So to hide the iron farm, what are we going to do? So there have been quite a few guesses and suggestions in chat. Lots of them saying lighthouse. It is the perfect place for a lighthouse, but that's not actually what we're going to do here. I do have a plan because there's a couple of other farms I'm going to want to put here as well. And I think what we're going to do is actually hide this and turn this sort of, well, this whole half of the island really into a big island fortress. But that's going to need a whole bunch of resources to build the whole thing. And to be honest, we're just not really kitted out to do that just yet. So for now, we're going to put this inside a tower and we're going to mark out where the base of the fortress is going to be. And we'll build as much as we can. It's going to be primarily deep slate and stone variants. So, you know, not too hard to gather them. It's just a case of whether I'll have time to gather and build everything this episode or not. But we've certainly got enough to get started, so that's exactly what we're going to do. I think I'm just about done with the foundation of this place, and I've even connected it to the seafloor because I'm good like that. Just don't ask about the bridge. So what I've done is designed a bunch of different sections for the fortress. We're going to have an outdoor section here, which is going to be a walkway going around the outside, and all these raised sections here are going to be different parts of the internal structure. So these are going to be different height towers and so on. Another outside bit down here as well. And of course, we're going to need to put in some kind of... There's a frog. Oh my days, there's 3 frogs. What are you doing all the way over there? I made you a lovely pond over there. There's another frog. And another frog. Okay. Well, all 5 of our frogs appear to have hatched, but none of them are actually in the lake. What's wrong with your lake? Mild distraction here. Let's go get some slime and feed them again. I have a feeling we're going to end up with quite a few wandering frogs and they might disappear, so let's just breed up a whole bunch of them and then we'll never be without. Although we might be without slime, but that's a problem for a different day. Now, what was I saying about fortresses? Oh yes, we have a plan in place, but what we do not have at all, is any more deep slate. We've pretty much used all of it, and we don't really have the stone either, which means I need to get myself some silk touch. And, well, that just leads to a whole cacophony of problems that we're going to have to solve before we can actually build this fortress up anymore. And that means we didn't actually hide the iron farm at all. And that was kind of the whole point of this episode. Well, we failed on that mission. But even though we don't have the resources to sort out any more of this particular build from the outside, that doesn't mean we can't do a little something on the inside. And to be honest, I'm pretty sick of eating bread. So what we're going to do is get a slightly better food source. I mean, it's not going to be the best food in the world, but it's certainly going to be better than bread. Before we can do this build, however, we're going to need a number of things, and there's a few steps we need to do in order to prepare. Step 1, find a bunch of chickens and march them back to your house like a tiny chicken army. Step 2, coerce all the chickens into standing on top of a hopper with a trapdoor. Go on, in you get. Step 3, wait for eggs. But while we're waiting, we might as well build a cooker. I don't even know what step we're on now. Let's build the cooker. So we'll start with a barrel, and then we'll put a hopper in the back, a slab on top. And I've just realised I was about to build this whole thing out of wood, but we're going to be using lava. So that's just not going to pan out, is it? So for now, I think we're just going to use what little deep slate we have left. Let's put a dispenser on the back of that. Wire up a little bit of redstone, and that should just about do it. And we'll put a slab on there, some glass on the front, and then let's just fill in the rest of this. Perfect. So next we need a hopper on the top there, and why not make this a little bit bigger? Give the chickens some space to move about, and we can block off the rest of this. And let's just fill in the back here while we're at it as well. We then need to put lava in there. We'll put some moss carpet down there, and a trapdoor for adding more chickens. And in theory, that should be pretty much all we need, apart from actually getting some chickens in there, of course. We've got a bunch of chickens in there. Excellent. And when they grow up, they'll start laying eggs. Those eggs will go into the dispenser, and of course they'll get spat out, and they won't get burnt by the lava until they grow up, and then they'll get cooked, and we'll get fresh chicken. Let's be honest, we've probably all built one of these before. I mean, it doesn't look much, but it should at least get the job done. So far in our Hardcore 119 world, we've made a bridge, a house, and a great big mess over here by the iron farm, and today we're going to fix that. But that's just one of many things we're going to be getting up to in today's episode. In fact, I'm going to tick one of those things off right away. I mean, look at this. Look at all these frogs. I mean, I've clearly made a terrible mistake with the breeding, and now they're overrunning the place. What's wrong with my lake? And more importantly, what are these two fellas doing all the way out here? Look at that. They're miles away. Where are they off to? Maybe I do just need to improve the lake a little bit for them. I'm sure that's definitely going to help with the frog problem. Next up, we have a sheep to go rescue. And there they are. Our lovely pink sheep that we found in the first episode has been just sitting here, waiting for us to come and collect them. And now we actually have a home to keep them in. I think it's only fair that we retrieve them. Welcome to your new home, which for now is actually just going to be stuck in the boat, I'm afraid. I know, but it's okay. We'll eventually have somewhere to put the sheep, but for now, I think we're pretty much done procrastinating. So last episode, we got this foundation down and we discussed what we were going to be building here, the big fort and so on, and I've completely changed my mind. We're not going to do that anymore. We're still going to make use of the platform we've got here, but I've had a slight change of heart. I've been messing around a little bit in creative to try and get some ideas because I was struggling to actually picture the fort once I got this base up. So what we're actually going to do is to build a giant tavern. Yep, we're going to build an oceanside tavern, and I've got an idea of what it's going to look like. As I say, I have been messing around a tiny bit in creative. I've designed just a couple of little bits to get the color palette right, and we are going to need a whole bunch of resources. The problem is our tools are not very good at the moment. We don't have efficiency and everything takes a long time to gather. So before we can go on a massive resource gathering mission, I need to upgrade my tools, and to do that, I need levels. We've got 28, we don't quite have the 30 we need, but when we do get to 30, look at this. The table already has an efficiency 4 sitting there waiting for me. I just need an extra couple of levels. But then after that, we're going to need a whole bunch more levels, of course, because I do want to upgrade the rest of my gear. And it'd be quite nice to get some feather falling on my boots as well. It's a big build. So I have done a little bit of digging. I've gathered a little bit of cobble and some deep slate, and that's what made me realise I really needed to upgrade my tools. And while we were doing that, we came across this, which is, of course, a spawning dungeon. And not only that, it actually has a geode attached to it as well, which is going to be very handy because I can do with a little bit of basalt. And it's also what enabled me to make this. But what we're going to do is we're going to turn this zombie spawner into an early game XP farm. So we're going to have to do a little bit of clearing. It shouldn't be too difficult to do, although, well, me being me, I've got to make it look nice as well, haven't I? First thing I need to do is to clear out the area around the spawner. There we go, much better. I've dug out the area 4 blocks each side and 4 blocks down, and we've also just put a hole in the middle, which is where we're going to feed all the zombies into. You may notice I've also replaced all the walls as well. It doesn't look particularly fancy, but this is just so that if I'm doing any other work around here, I don't accidentally dig into the spawner, because that would be a bad thing. Currently, the zombies are going to get washed into this hole here, then they'll get pushed over to the side, they'll go across this tunnel, and then they're going to go into a bubble vator. So the next step is going to be getting that bubble vator in place, and And I think we're just going to send them up a little bit higher over here. Ideally, what we want to do is send them up approximately 23 blocks from here, across, and then down into a kill chamber. And that way, they should be one-hit kills, which especially at the start when we don't have a sweeping edge sword, should be a little bit easier. There we go, a simple bubble vator has been installed. The zombies now go up to the top, across, and when they drop down here, they become one-hit kills. And of course, we get to gather all the XP. I've also set this up on top of the hopper, so we are collecting some bits and bobs. I mean, yeah, we're probably just going to end up burning all that, to be perfectly honest. We only really want the experience. And if we quickly switch to replay mod, we can actually look inside the walls and see how this thing is working. And as you can see, the zombies spawn on the right-hand side. They drop down into the water tunnels, and then they just jostle around in this area here for a bit. And then eventually they get pushed into the bubble vator and then drop down for me to kill. So the last thing I want to do is to make this place look a little bit nicer. We're going to be spending some time here while we get our levels, and it might even be worth moving our enchanting table down here as well, because ultimately that's what we want the levels for. Lots and lots of enchanting. So I'm going to leave this running while I do so, and that means I can gather levels while I'm also trying to make it look good. And I'll bring you back in once this room's looking a little bit nicer, and hopefully we're a little bit more enchanted. Yay, efficiency 4. Ooh, and unbreaking. Lovely jubbly. I have been here for so long and I still don't have feather falling, but the rest of my tools are looking good, and so is the rest of this room. We've made it look nice. I've not done anything too fancy, just tried to use some of the bits from the geode and other materials we found pretty much directly in this area. Even the jungle wood we ripped off the top of the island upstairs. So we have another enchanting setup down here. This is actually separate to the one we have upstairs, and I've put a bed in here as well, just so I can sleep before I leave, just in case. And this door here just goes back out into the mines. But I've been standing here killing zombies for hours. Literally, probably about 3 or 4 hours. What day are we even on now? So we're on day 182. Yeah, we've been here for quite a while. And to say we've killed more than a couple of zombies is a bit of an understatement. Let's have a look. We have killed 1,204 zombies already. Okay, that's actually more than I thought. But I just need these precious, precious levels. So I'm going to stay here a little bit longer, and once we get Feather Falling 4, we can move on to the next step of preparation, which is to go and mess with the villagers, because we're going to need mending on these things as well. Although if this is the method of us mending them, we could be in trouble. It's another few hundred zombies later, and I still don't have exactly what I needed. I do not have Feather Falling 4 on my boots, but while I've been trying to get that, I have managed to get Protection 4 on basically everything now. In fact, I do have it on everything. I just don't have all the other enchants and things that I would also like. And my sword is no longer enchanted. I kind of broke the one I had. The most important thing, though, is we do have tools that all have efficiency, which means our resource gathering is going to be a lot quicker. Although now I need to go get mending for them all, and that means we need to go play with some villagers. So I've got 3 lecterns in the hope that we can get feather falling, mending, and, well, something else. Something else always comes out, and then you end up going, oh, it's a really good price, I'm going to keep it, and it's not the thing I was going for. So that's why we've got the extra lectern. But I've also got a bunch of barrels and loads of wood so that we can make ourselves some fletchers and actually get some emeralds just by selling them sticks. And the weather is absolutely awful. Ugh. Oh, Feather Falling 4. That was like attempt number 5. You legends. So I do need to lock him in, which means we're also going to need a fisherman. I guess that's you. What's wrong with the barrel? Why do you not like the barrel? Okay, no, he just didn't like the first barrel. Wait a minute, it's not barrels I need. It's not barrels at all. I need fletching tables. Oh dear. Let's try this again. There we go. Now he buys sticks. That's what we wanted. We need more fletchers. You, sir, be a fletcher. Thank you. And you, sir. So now we can buy our feather falling from this dude. Excellent. Although we are going to need another librarian, which means we're probably going to need to put some beds in here and get a couple of babies. We've got a couple of babies in there now. We've got a whole bunch of emeralds from trading sticks. We just need to wait for them to grow up so we can get a couple more librarians. I may have made one or too many fletchers up there. Our first baby's finally grown up. Let's give him a job and see what we can get. Mending, preferably. Ooh, silk touch. You see, this is what I was saying. Sometimes you just come across another book and you're like, well, that's going to be really handy as well. And to be honest, I could really do with that. Fine, we'll lock you in, but the next one must be a mending villager, okay? Wow, that's an expensive mending. 38. I'll tell you what, I'm actually going to keep rolling. I'm not paying 38 for mending. There we go, 26 mending. That's more like it. Let's buy as many of those as we can. And with that, I think we've got all the books we need, and hopefully I've actually got enough levels to put these on. Feather falling on my boots, finally. Well, we've only got 4 levels left, but look at that. We have mending on all of our tools, and we will, of course, need to save up and get some more mending books. And I also want to make sure that I can put Silk Touch on my axe at some point in future as well. So for this build, there's a number of different resources we're going to need, and I think it's a good idea for me to put down a bunch of barrels here. And let's work this out. So we're going to need some dark oak, which will be stripped. We're going to need jungle. We're going to need mangrove. We're going to need oak. And we're going to need spruce. That's a lot of different wood types for a start. We're also going to need mud and dirt, and of course a little bit more netherrack, because we are going to be doing a mangrove roof in certain places. So this is the key things that we need. I would also like to get some brown mushrooms as well, but I don't actually have any at all at the moment. And that's also the reason I wanted Silk Touch on my axe, which I don't currently have, because I don't have the levels to make another axe, put Silk Touch on it, and then merge them. But we'll get there. So I'm about to spend hours and hours resource gathering. I imagine you're just going to see like a 20-second time lapse of it all. Well, it's quite a bit later, but I think I have pretty much everything I need. We just did a stream, we chopped lots of wood, we went and explored and actually got ourselves some mud from the mangrove swamp, and you may notice I've planted a bit of bamboo there as well, and that's because we actually need a tiny bit of scaffolding for this build as well. But for the most part, we should have pretty much everything we need, and I'm going to make a start. I think it makes sense to probably sort out the iron farm area first, although something I do have to consider, of course, is that while I'm building this, golems could well spawn on the blocks that I'm placing. Obviously, I will completely spawn-proof it once I'm done, but that could cause problems and actually break the farm, so it might be worth actually taking a little bit of time to turn the farm off, which should hopefully be easy enough. In fact, in theory, if I just pillar up here, break this block here, and then if I time this right, there we go. And he can just sit in there and wobble, and that should actually stop the golems from spawning while we work on the build here. So I think I am going to build the tower that goes around the iron farm first, so let's start by placing some blocks here. I need to strip them as I go as well, and I guess you're going to get a very fast time lapse, and we'll bring you back in once we're looking a bit better. Basic shape is in. This wall is extremely bland, but don't worry about that. That's going to end up inside the rest of the building anyway. But I think shape-wise, this is coming along quite well. For now, I think the next step is to expand the front here and actually start getting the main part of the building down. I've severely underestimated the amount of oak I'm going to need for this build. Although it is coming along well, I have just completely run out, and we've still got another 3 walls to do on this main central building here. But hopefully this gives you an idea of the scale of this thing, and it is absolutely huge. That's enough cheesy 80s music for now. So this has taken me absolutely forever, and as you can see, I've still got a lot of work to do. There's absolutely no texturing anywhere on the building, and, well, there's no windows either. It's quite dark inside there, but the general shape of it, I think I am actually happy with. I think that's looking pretty good. Although I've got to be honest, it is quite hard to actually gauge it properly from down here, and that is why I've installed FreeCam mod, and now we can actually just press F4. We're still here, we're still in the game. It just allows us to essentially detach from our body. And that's a really good thing when you're doing big builds like this, because it gives you a better view, especially when you don't have wings. But the general shape of this I am very happy with, but yeah, needs a lot of detail. I did put a little bit of detail on the tower here, but the rest of it is still lacking, and then we're going to have gardens around the back here and so on. But that's going to have to wait because I think I need an adventure. We have a rescue mission to attend to. When we were on stream the other day, we were exploring and we came across something very, very special. And here it is. And if we look in these cages, you see that? That is our quarry. There's 2 over there. And I believe there's at least 1. There's 2 over there as well. Look at that. So we need to get in there. We need to save those guys. And we need to not die while doing so. Let's go. I'm sure it'll be fine. Oh, a goat horn. That was pretty straightforward, actually. We've successfully made it away with 4 allays, and most importantly, we also got an awesome goat horn. But they're not the easiest to transport. I do find myself constantly looking over my shoulder, because occasionally you just get a little bit too far away from them in a boat. But in general, I'm loving having a horde. What are you doing? You weirdos? What are you doing? As the sun has gone down, we've actually made it home with all 4 allays, which is marvellous, although I don't actually have anywhere to store them at the moment, so we're going to have to put them on leads, and I've got 2 on me, and I think I have another 2 in here. Let's have a quick look. Yep, we have got absolutely loads of leads. So let's just, a little bit mean, I know, a little bit mean, but let's just tie them to a post for now, and we'll just let them hang out, I guess. In fact, let's take the chicken off them as well, so they can be free. Be free, kind of, still tied to a post, but at least you're not burdened with chicken. Anyway, it's dark and I'm scared. Let's go to bed. So the good news is now we have allays. When it comes to doing the texturing over here, when blocks are going to be flying absolutely everywhere, we can actually use these little dudes to pick up all the excess for us and bring them back to us, so we're going to lose a lot less blocks, which means next episode we can actually spend a bit less time chopping. So far in our hardcore world, we have basic storage, we've got an iron farm, we have a source of XP, and we have an unfinished tavern. Let's quickly fix that last one. Much better. It's got a bit more character now, although still doesn't really look like a tavern. It needs a big old sign. Maybe we can stick one on the side there. What have we got? I guess I want it to be quite big, quite large. Probably not at that angle. Let me quickly get rid of that. So, let's see what we can do here. Yep, I think that works. That definitely looks a little bit more like a tavern, and making use of the paintings there to make a fancy tavern sign just really does give it a good effect. I like. But if we quickly jump into free cam and have a look around the rest of the tavern, you can see I have added detail on nearly every wall. I do need to get some oak planks up here by the looks of it. I appear to have missed an area, but overall it's looking a lot better. Maybe a couple of windows in there as well, who knows? But it's certainly looking more complete. I still haven't made any decisions about the interior, however, I am thinking potentially leaving it as a bar downstairs or an actual sort of tavern look and feel, and then up here having some bedrooms that have got different farms and smaller things in. I don't really know yet. However, what I do know is that we need to test this iron farm and see if we've managed to keep it working or not. I have, I think, spawn-proofed everywhere around here. These are all half slabs, and even the roofs outside the ledges, and hopefully this is still the only place golems can spawn, but I guess we should test that out. So the farm is now running again. I can actually just turn it on and off nice and easily now. And hopefully, this isn't going to cause us any problems. Ah, look at that! Straight away, we've actually got a golem exactly where we wanted him to be. Excellent. So although it appears to be working, I do want to test it, so I'm just going to stand here for about 45 minutes and we'll see what happens. Lots of dead golems and a bunch of iron. That's what happened. And the good news is not a single golem has escaped, so we've definitely done a good job spawn-proofing. Maybe a little bit too good in some places. So I actually have quite a few things I want to achieve today, and make sure to stick around because we are going to be adding a new building in this area somewhere. I don't actually know where yet, but it's going to be down there somewhere. But first we've got something we need to fix, and that is the grounds around this tavern. They look absolutely awful. It's just lots and lots of deep slate and grass, and this is not how a tavern should be, or at least just not how I want this upper level to be. We also need to make sure it looks good around here and of course around the back as well. But for this, we're actually going to need to make ourselves a quick little farm. And that is a basalt farm because we don't have any basalt. We've got lots of other rubbish in our inventory. So we're going to empty all this out. We're going to go find ourselves some ice from somewhere. I haven't actually seen an ice biome yet, so that could be an interesting mission in itself. But once we've got some ice, we'll head over to the nether and just make ourselves a tiny little basalt farm. Doesn't need to be anything fancy, just needs to work. We also still don't have any mushroom blocks, and I do actually want to use some for the top of these walls here. I want to get a bit of smoother textures in, and for that we're actually going to need to find ourselves some brown mushrooms, so we'll keep an eye out for them while we're out and about as well. Finally. Oh, that took so long. We are grabbing a whole bunch of this before we go back. I think I've got just about all I can carry. Now to make the long journey home again. Finally, I can see home. And I have to say, the silhouette of that island is looking pretty cool. We've now got a bunch of ice, we've got some mushrooms as well, and we'll just put the mushrooms away for now. We'll deal with that later. But that does mean we can go to the nether and of course make ourselves a basalt generator. So over in the nether I just built a safety box and then I built the basalt generator leading off of that. It's very simple, it's just a few hoppers leading into a chest with some minecart hoppers on top that are actually inside soul sand blocks. Then we put blue ice on one side, lava on the other side, and then we can just mine away and collect basalt. And if we were to get haste 2 up here as well, we'd be able to mine all 4 of those in one go. So it's a very quick thing, but we don't have a beacon at the moment. So for now, we're just going to stand here and mine away to collect as much as we can. After spending some levels and upgrading my pickaxe to be efficiency 5, I've managed to get almost 2 complete rows in about 10 minutes, so this is going to work very well for us. But we also need a whole bunch of mushroom blocks, so we're going to need to make ourselves a silk touch axe. Because our axe already has fortune 2 on it, we actually need to put silk touch in this slot here, which we can't do with the book, so we've put that on an axe, and we don't have enough levels. Okay. We have our silk touch axe at the ready, we've got some mushrooms, and I'm hoping we can just grow some over here. That we can. Excellent. So we've got the basalt, we've got the mushrooms, and I even went and got myself some silk touch deep slate. And wow, okay. Well, maybe we'll wait until tomorrow. It's a new day, the storm has passed, and I think I want to make a start on these walls first, get the mushroom blocks in, and then we're going to do some terraforming around here. However, it's about time we make use of our allays, because we are going to be digging up lots of blocks, replacing them with other blocks, and that's where these guys are going to come into their own. So last episode I did ask for name suggestions for these guys, and we've had lots and lots of suggestions. However, I've currently only got 1 name tag, so we're going to be a little bit limited. So the suggested name we're going to go with is going to be... Oh, we haven't got any levels. Okay, let's go get a level first. Jeez. Level has been acquired, so the name we're going with is LAG, which is just absolute genius. I love it. And this one was actually suggested on stream, and I cannot for the life of me remember who it was that actually suggested that. So if it was you, give a wave in the comments. But we actually got given lots and lots of good names, punny names, one might say, while we were on stream. So we're going to be adding those as we go along, but do keep those names coming because, well, we're going to end up with lots of LAs. And we could probably do with a name for the pink sheep as well. So we're going to take 2 of these with us. We'll take LAG, you can have those, and we'll also take this one here, you can have those, and I guess I'm going to need to quickly do this and catch the ones that don't have anything. So them 2 can stay there, and the other 2, including LAG, should follow me. Hey, look at that. So if we start putting in some of these blocks, in theory, the allays should pick up anything we leave floating around. Yeah, I think those mushroom blocks work really well up there, actually. I like that. Thank you, buddy. Oh, look at him in there picking them all up. What a legend. Well, the allays have been a great help, and I think the mushroom blocks actually suit really well at the top of this building here, and I've actually managed to get that done all the way around the entire building, just as the sun's going down as well, so I should probably go find a bed. The next step is to play around with these walls around the side, get them looking good, and just generally do all the terraforming around the edge of the tavern. I do, of course, need to put some stairs in that are going to go down here in some way, and figure out what I want to do with the wall. I've played around with a couple of things here, but not entirely sure yet. I'm not sure. I think I like it, but I'm not 100% sold yet. I think what I need to do is actually sort out the rest of the landscape around the front here and actually see if we can blend this in a bit better. I do also need to get the path here textured as well. But yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, if we look at it from out here, we can get sort of a rough idea. This will all be sort of paved around here as well for the majority. I think maybe it just needs some foliage. Maybe a big old custom tree, right? Oh, yes, that's what it needs. Big custom tree right here. And I have to say, these little dudes have been extremely helpful. We've actually just been on a 2-hour stream while we were doing this, and these little guys didn't cause me a single problem. Nope, not one. And they certainly don't have a habit of trying to get into little holes in walls and hide there. No, they don't.
That's a lie.
So I guess I'm going to need texture blocks for this area here. I'll get some foliage, we'll get a little bit in, and then we're going to build ourselves a custom tree. And while we're at it, we might do the one over there as well. I've just added a little bit of foliage down the front here. I've added in a path and some other small details, and with the lights and also the texturing on the stairs, I think that does actually pull it together quite well, and I think I'm going to run with it. But that means we've got a lot more to do. I also haven't got the tree in yet either, so let's get this tree in first, and then we're going to do some terraforming all around the side here and see how much of this we can get done. If you've been around my channel for any length of time, you'll know that I absolutely hate making custom trees, mainly because I'm not very good at them. So I actually did a little bit of research this time. I found an amazing video by Meg Ray, linked to in the description, and she had a very, very cool tree, which I've kind of adapted a little bit, and I tried to make something similar, based on the tips. I think that's come out okay, but now we've done our tester tree, it's time to go make a bigger one over here, and hopefully it comes out as well as that one did. I'm actually quite impressed with that. Music's run out, and so has my patience for making trees. I absolutely despise making trees. This one's turned out okay. I mean, it's better than my usual trees, I'll be honest, but I don't know, there's something not quite right about it. It's just a little bit janky. But compared to my usual trees, they're a vast improvement, so we're definitely going to keep them. And in fact, that one actually looks quite good from over here. Not so sure on this one though. But either way, I've had enough faffing around with leaves, and we're going to move on to our next project for now. We will of course finish the terraforming over here over time. We'll probably do some on stream, and we'll gradually get this area looking nice, and we'll just ignore the back of it altogether for now. What do you want? Why are you getting up in my face? So we are still in the early game here, and being in the early game means we don't really have a lot of farms, which means we don't have a lot of resources. But over the next few episodes, we are going to be building some farms, just some basic starter farms, but in order to do that, we're going to be needing lots and lots of glass, and we're probably going to be cooking up some other things. But either way, this leads us into our next project, which is to get a super smelter of sorts set up. In fact, it's probably just going to be more of a furnace array. There's not really going to be anything super about it. But I think what I want to do is get a building down here, just try and complete this area and this view looking this way a little bit more, because that bridge is looking very cool with the tree now. And what we're going to do is disguise it as some kind of a blacksmith, I think. A blacksmith with a super smelter inside, or a furnace array inside. I think that's probably going to work out. Kind of makes sense. Palette-wise, we are going to stick with what we've been doing around here already, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue. And once again, it's raining. I really don't want to build in this. That's better. Now, I've been having lots of requests recently for tutorials, particularly on how to build this house and this bridge and things like that, but sadly, I just don't get the time to do tutorials. I work full time, and I struggle as it is to get 1, sometimes 2 videos out a week. But with that in mind, we are about to make a building, so let's do a tutorial Beardstone style. Step 1, mark out where you want the build to be, and then make the frame. Usually when I'm building up frames, I tend to make the gaps between the different pillars either 3, 5, 7, and so so on. Generally, an odd number of blocks works best. Just makes it easier for placing windows down the line. With medieval builds, I generally like to make the top floors stick out a bit, but if you stick it out on one side, it's always wise to stick it out on the other side as well, because it keeps the ratio of even to odd numbers, and that just makes it easier for doing roofs. And I think on this one, we're actually going to take the sticky outy bit to the next level, and we're going to have like a big sticking out bit on the front here. And this top floor is pretty much just going to be an attic room, so we're going to have a very low wall on the sides and a very tall roof. Frame complete. Step 2, add some solid untextured walls in your main block. And if you're not changing your mind at least once on every part of the build, you're doing it wrong. And there we go, the basic walls are in. Step 3 is to sort out the roof line. With this one, I think we want quite a big overhang, so we're going to start here. So it should be fairly straightforward, just some stairs and some planks. And then once again, we change our mind, because I think I want it overhanging this side as well. Now we've got the roof line in. Step 4 is to actually apply the roof, which in our case is going to be primarily a bit of mangrove. And as a nice little detail, we'll just put some fences in this gap on all sides before we do. When building with mangrove, eventually you'll find that you completely run out because it's a pain in the butt to get and you've never got loads of backup. At this stage, yeet yourself off the building. With the roof in, we can now taper down the top bit here with some slabs, some trapdoors, more stairs, and then more slabs, and then more trapdoors, and so on, just to get a nice shape on the roof. So that's the basic shell of the building down. If we jump into FreeCam, we can have a proper look around, and I highly recommend getting the FreeCam mod if you're on Java and you're doing buildings like this. It really does come in handy, but you can see the rough shape of the build. It's just lacking windows, it's lacking detail, and it doesn't have any floors on the inside. But there is also one other glaring problem with this build. It's supposed to be a blacksmith, and it doesn't even have a chimney, but that's what this outside area here is going to be for. We're going to put in a big furnace here. It's going to be a chimney going all the way up to the top, and in fact, I think that's about where I want the furnace and the chimney to go. It's, once again, like everything else, just missing lots and lots of detail. Bit like my tutorials, really. Step 5 is doing the texturing, which I've made a start of down here, and the trick is to try and clump the different textures together a little bit. Don't just sporadically put the blocks everywhere. That never looks good. But by doing this, it creates a little bit more coherence, and I've used sort of noisier blocks down the bottom and smoother ones at the top there. And I also did a similar thing with the furnace here. I used a few walls and stairs as well, just to make it look a little bit more run down, but it does of course still need a few more details down here. But we'll cover that later in step 6. For now, we need to move on to doing the oak walls and the roof, and I still need to do the top of the chimney as well. In fact, before we get to the texturing, let's do some windows. So I've just knocked out a few blocks. There's lots of different ways of doing windows, but this is the style we've gone with in this little village hamlet type place we've got going on. So by using just a few trapdoors, some fence posts, a slab, and some stairs, you give the window a lot of depth. And then in this bit here, we're actually just going to put more fence posts. I also like to jam fence posts up in these bits as well, just because it gives the building a little bit more character, and it gives you somewhere to hang lanterns and chains and all those sorts of things from. But enough about windows, let's sort out the rest of this texturing. That's the oak walls done and windows added at the top, and what we're going to do for these smaller windows is just put a fence gate on the front, because it gives it a little bit more detail. In fact, we'll do the same on these ones here. So this lower half is looking pretty good and pretty well textured. Let's move on to the roof, and for that, we're going to need more netherrack, and we're going to need some more mangrove. Dang it. And with these few flower pots, a fireplace, and another flower pot on top, I think we're just about done on the roof here, at least for now. Although I'm not going to lie, I do still need a bit more mangrove. And the reason we need the mangrove, of course, is to finish off the roof and make sure it's all spawn-proof, because currently it is not. And bad things are going to come there, especially when the sun's going down like it is now. But although the exterior of the building itself may be almost complete, we haven't sorted out the outside here. And that's the next thing we're going to do. We're just going to mix up the floor with a bit of coarse dirt, some podzol. We'll get some barrels out here. We'll of course, cover up this as well, one way or another. But essentially, it's just putting the finishing touches on. Chains and lanterns are a good one as well. They work really well. Little planter boxes and things like that. So I'll bring you back in once we've put in some of those finer details. And why is that trapdoor open? Well, that's looking pretty good. We've now got the little blacksmith's workshop down here. We've also got some barrels and things. And once we actually get the smelter up and running, I think we're going to have that feed down into these barrels here. I think we can probably get that working. I've also got some lanterns hanging up now, so at least the lower areas should be lit up, and the same on the sides and the other side. However, I do need to get a few more lanterns and sort out the back, but the first thing I really want to do is to make the roof spawn-proof. And for that, we're going to need more mangrove. So, back to chopping. I've just finished spawn-proofing the roof, and it looks like we've already got some guests at the Blacksmith. It's not a tavern. The tavern's over there, fellas. Nah, thank you. So as I was saying, I've just finished spawn-proofing the roof, and I think we're pretty much done. And that pretty much explains why I don't do tutorials. I'm really bad at them, and I don't explain enough. But I am very pleased with how that's come out, and hopefully that's given you at least a little bit of an insight into my building process, which is pretty much all I can offer in the tutorial front. In fact, I think there's one more thing we can do to improve this. There we go, that's better. It's got a nice little sign that kind of looks like a shield, but also not. We still need to get a furnace inside this building, but that's going to have to wait for next episode, because sadly we're out of time. Last episode, we finished the exterior of the tavern, we did some landscaping, and we built a blacksmith ready to house a small furnace array, which is something we need as a small piece of a much larger project. A very small piece. It's not exactly going to be a big array in a building that size, is it? But this episode, we're going to be making steps towards building something that I really want, and that is not one, but 2 automated tree farms. We want one for the regular woods like your oak, your spruce, your birch, and things like that, and we 100% definitely want one for mangrove, because that stuff is an absolute pain to harvest, and I hate it so much. We are, however, quite a way off getting there, because there's a bunch of things that we're going to need that we don't currently have access to, and primarily that is slime and honey blocks. So my plan for today is to get a furnace array up and running in here so we can get glass easier, and then we're going to be focusing on these little guys. And that also means we're going to need a shiny new building to put them in. My initial thought was to put the bee farm inside the tavern itself, because that is, of course, completely empty at the moment, but I think I might actually be slowly concocting some other plans for the interior of that. So that means we're going to need to add a new building to our island in which to house the bee farm, and that's something we can look forward to later on in the episode. And to be honest, that kind of helps me develop this island further, because I love how it's coming along, but I really want to see it with more buildings on it. But first up, furnace array. Right, let's take a look on the inside. So how in the world are we going to get any kind of decent sized furnace array in here? I have absolutely no idea, but while I think about it, I'm going to start gathering some resources that I know we're going to need to make it. I think I've gathered together everything I need, and the first thing I can conclude is that there is definitely not going to be enough space on the ground floor here. So the very first thing we're going to do is actually just get some floors in this place. Well, this should be much more space, and we can probably do something up the top for actually loading it. And we'll have the furnace array here, and ultimately we do want to deliver it. I think that's the right spot. Yes, we want to deliver it into these barrels here. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually get these hooked up, and then we can just sort of put all the furnaces on top, I guess. So in theory, that should be enough, and let's see how many furnaces we can actually get in. 12. We can get 12 furnaces in. That's okay, that'll do for now. So in fact, I'm going to have to reorganize these hoppers here just a little bit so we don't pull out the wrong things. Perfect. And now we can actually get away with putting hoppers on the back of these. And then we'll get hoppers that go in the top. And I guess we're going to have to remove that one as well, just so we can have the minecart going backwards and forwards. But in theory, this should work out okay. Let's see if we can get some rail laid down. And if we temporarily put a piece there, that should stop the rails from connecting at some dodgy angle. We really don't want that. Let's just block off this back shelf. We don't need this. And let's also block off this side here so we don't see all the minecarts running around from downstairs. That should be about right. And we'll fill in the rest of the floor. And to try and make this look a little bit nicer, we're just going to hide all the hoppers at the bottom here. And in fact, I'm going to hide the top ones as well. But we'll use stairs for that so that we can sort out the corner a little bit better. And at the back here, in theory, we should be able to remove that now without causing any problems with the track layout. Excellent. We'll also get these hidden so that you can't actually see the hoppers. How are we going to do that? I guess we're going to need a stair, aren't we? Well, it looks a little bit janky, but it's fine. If we put a stair on this side and a trapdoor here, that should help to balance it a little bit. Yeah, it'll do. So if we put a chest minecart there and another one there, and then put a lever here, power these rails here and these rails here, in theory, that should work absolutely fine. Look at that, doing what they need to do. Obviously, it would help if we actually loaded them up with something, but for now, that's absolutely fine. Now, let's see if we can make this room look a little bit nicer. A short while later, and I think I'm actually done. So if we have a little look around, I've just added an armor stand out the front here just to indicate a little bit more what the purpose of this building is. and I've done nothing useful with the ground floor whatsoever. I've just rammed it full of stuff that a blacksmith might have. And barrels. Lots and lots of barrels. There wasn't too much I could do with this room because of the furnaces and so on, but it is functional. That's the important thing. And if we go up to the top floor, you can see I've just put a Beardstone safety barrier in here so I don't fall into the furnace itself. And everything is working just fine. So with the blacksmiths complete, that means we can make a start on the next project, which is, of course, our bee farm. We want to be collecting honey primarily. We will, of course, want some honeycomb as well. But mainly for now, we just want to be collecting the actual honey blocks because that's what we're going to need for our tree farms. So at this stage, I don't actually know where I want to put this building. I don't even know what it's going to look like, how big it's going to be, or any of that stuff. And I also don't have any bee nests. So first port of call, I guess we're going on an adventure. That turned out to be a thoroughly unexciting adventure, but we did manage to get ourselves a whole bunch of bee nests, and that's exactly what we're going to need to start this farm. I know that I could have just got a couple and made some hives, but I just think the bee nests look better. Not that I have any idea where to put this building or how it's going to look, or even how to build the farm yet. But I do know a lot of the things I'm going to need to make this work, and that involves going into my redstone box, which is unsurprisingly very empty. As long as I've got quartz, I'm all good. Okay, we've got some quartz. Excellent. I think I've got everything I need, and after having a look around, I think I'm actually going to build over here. I just need to work out exactly how much space I need, and probably raise up the ground just a little bit. I think that's roughly the size and shape I'm going to need. We're going to have quite a lot of bees over here, but I do also actually need to go get some more stone because we've completely run out. But I think we'll just head down into the mines and just take out a chunk. I've got me torches. Much better. So, next thing I need to do is actually try and work out where I'm going to put this thing and how much space we're going to need. But I think I'm just going to mark it out with dirt for now. So I think these are the two areas where we're actually going to put the honey collection systems, and then we're going to try and figure out some buildings to wrap around it. But for now, let's just build up this first unit and go from there. So the first thing I want to do is put in the collection system, and that's just going to be a series of barrels in the floor, I think. Although by doing it like this, it is going to be a bit more hopper heavy, but that's fine. We've got an iron farm. In fact, we actually need to go one row further back, so yeah, this is a whole bunch of hoppers. Maybe I should rethink this. I think what we'll do for now is just keep it as a single hopper line, and then we'll figure out what to do with the storage later. Let's quickly get this filled back in. So if we put the azalea down here, for now I'm just going to put some dirt on the front so that the bees don't escape. Although actually, before I do this, I should probably actually make sure that all of these nests are full, which at the moment I'm fairly sure they're not. So that means I'm going to need some kind of a temporary room in which just to breed up a whole bunch of bees. So let's just quickly knock something up over here. It's certainly not the prettiest thing in the world, but it should certainly do the job for us. Then we'll just breed them all up, spam them with flowers, and hopefully we'll be able to get these filled up pretty quickly. So while we wait for them to do their thing, let's figure out the rest of this, shall we? So the bee nests are going to be sitting on these spots here, which means we need dispensers above those. Let's just put these in as placeholders for now so we know exactly where the bee nests are going to be. And then we need a solid block behind each nest. And then we need to come out 2 blocks here, top half slabs there, and then we need some redstone. So if we put comparators down here, they're actually going to read the nests at the front here, and that should mean that if we go 1, 2, get some more blocks in here, and some slabs up there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when it's the strength of 5, that's when it's full, and then it should fire the dispenser. So in theory, this should work just fine. I've also added some hoppers and barrels on the top there, just so we can keep these filled up with glass bottles. But I think other than wrapping it round, that should be the redstone side of things done. Let's go see how our bees are doing. Spam them all again. And what I'm going to do is start blocking these exits so that they can't actually get out. They can still get back into the nests if they go around the back. Go on, get out of the way. But if we block off the front, then they can no longer exit. And And that's how we're going to collect them all up again. So it looks like these 2 bees can't actually find a nest to get into, which tells me that these are actually now all full. So let's grab 5 of these. But before we put these in place, I do need to build the containment unit around them. Otherwise, this is not going to work. And for that, we need glass and maybe some dark oak. Actually, let's grab some mud blocks as well. So we'll put some mud blocks in front of those. Glass in front of here so we can actually see what the bees are up to. That'll be nice. And I think we'll just use the mud blocks around the side here, because that should help us when we come to wrap this thing in a building of some kind. And we'll do the same on this side. So that should do on that front. And I know we want to be collecting lots and lots of honey bottles, but we don't really have the glass for that at the moment. So for this one, I'm actually going to fill it full of shears. And then we'll do another unit next door, which is going to collect the honey. And while I think of it, we do probably want some light in there as well. And I think we may have enough glowstone. All we need is 10. We have 16, excellent. So let's actually replace these 5 here with some glowstone. And that should make it a bit nicer in there for the bees. Right, now we've just got to make a buttload of shears and put them all in here. The shears are all in and the sun's going down, which means it's the perfect time to actually start thinking about putting these nests in. I'm just going to make sure it's completely dark before I put anything down though. So in theory, when I place these now, they shouldn't leave their nests. Good to see my redstone works as well. Excellent. And look at that. We've got 15 honeycomb from the first 5. So it's definitely working. I think we can probably get away with sleeping now. And hopefully all the bees should then pop out. Oh, look at that. Beautiful sound. So they're just going to do their thing. The little ones will grow up eventually as well. But that is the first segment done. We'll do another segment next door. And then we'll figure out how we're going to disguise these little units. I might even leave the fronts open, you know. So the second module is now in, however I don't have the glass to be able to make the bottles to fill the dispensers, and we need to make sure that these are 100% full all of the time. So I guess it's time for me to empty my inventory once again and go to the desert, because we're going to need a buttload of sand. But we get to use our furnace array. Woo! Full inventory full of sand and a little bit of cactus apparently. Don't need that. But we've got lots and lots of sand, which means we can actually get our glass bottles now. Let's go use the furnace. The carts are running, the sand appears to be cooking, and hopefully, yes, the glass is collecting in this barrel at the bottom here. Amazing. We'll have tons of bottles in no time. Haven't managed to completely fill up the dispensers as yet. There's still lots of glass cooking, but there's certainly enough in there because I don't have any empty slots to actually get this started. And it looks like the sun is once again just going down, so hopefully we can get these in safely. So all the bees have got in absolutely fine, but I've completely messed up the hoppers on the bottom, so let me quickly fix those. So they are, of course, not supposed to be under those. They are supposed to be under the actual nests. There we go, and if we sleep, theory... Oh, look at that, so many bees. Next step is to try and make this look nice, and I don't really know what I'm going to do yet. I had a bit of an idea to maybe put a couple of buildings in that are a bit offset, and I might run with that. But I'm not sure I want this front bit here exposed. We also need to figure out something better for the storage, because currently only this far left barrel is actually being used. The rest of them are just kind of for style, I guess. So I'm going to give this a little bit of thought while we wait for the rest of the glass to actually smelt down, because at least that way we can completely fill up the dispensers, and we might actually need to go get some more sand as well. So while standing here staring and trying to figure out what to do, I have noticed a couple of times that bits have actually been landing on these leaves here as opposed to getting collected. I mean, a lot of it is getting collected, but not all of it. So we might have to make a slight modification if we dig in down the side here. And yeah, okay, so there is a hopper in the way there. So what I think we're going to do is work out slightly better storage for this. That way we can adjust this and actually get a hopper minecart running underneath this bit here, which may actually make the collection a lot better, and probably means we can get rid of a whole bunch of these hoppers as well. So if we move the barrel down a block and then do the hoppers a little bit like this maybe, we'll just adjust these ones as well. So with these ones, if we go into the back here and send them that way, then we should be able to get all bases covered. I just need to grab myself some minecart rail, and then we'll get the rail down on here. We'll make sure that there is a block on the end here. Let's block this bit in here as well. And what we're going to do is we're just going to power that there, and that should actually power the rail just nicely. And then we can stick a hopper minecart on there, and that should pick up any of the straggling bits that get stuck on the top there. Perfect. The only downside is we're always going to be hearing a minecart over here, but that's fine. And until we figure out storage properly, we'll just stick a trapdoor there and we can get into this box here. Now we just need to do the same thing on this side as well. And there we go. That one should now work as well. Perfect. I still have no idea what to do with these buildings though. Well, it's the next day in real life and I've been giving this a little bit more thought, and I think I have a bit of a plan. And part of that plan is actually going to involve extending the back of this building out a little bit just so we can get a better shape. But I think we're going to do like a pointy roof thing on this side and then maybe a sloped roof over here. And that way we will actually have a second floor on the building. Wow, it's loud with those minecarts. But we will actually have a second floor on the building, and that means we'll be able to access the barrels all nicely. So I guess I'm just gonna grab some stuff and start placing blocks, and we'll see how we get on. I think I'm happy with the overall shape of it, but obviously it's looking very bland at the moment. We need to sort out some texturing, we need to get some other details in, and we certainly need to sort out the roof. We also need to sort out these walls, the bit out the front, all that jazz, and I might try and get a couple more bee nests as well, because I think they'll look good for decoration on the outside, if I can even find any more. I think with that, we are just about done. I just need to go see if I can get myself another bee nest. And if I remember correctly, there's still one over here. So let's just go steal this one. Yep, there it is. Let's just hope that the bees go home and we can steal the bees as well. And there we go, all three of them. And we'll just put this in the space we've left here. And we're now one step closer to getting our tree farms, which is absolutely amazing. We're on a mission to build an automated mangrove tree farm and another one for all the other trees, of course. And last episode, we made some progress by building this fancy little bee farm because we need lots and lots of honey. And this thing is producing. Not massive amounts, but we've not really actually been logged in that much since last episode, apart from to mark out this area here. And this is, of course, a slime chunk, which I 100% did look up on Chunkbase. So if you've built a slime farm before, you know that they involve a lot of digging. I think I have an idea of how we're actually going to make this look okay on the surface and tie in with the village as well, but we do of course need to do lots and lots of digging. However, starting an episode just by digging a massive hole is not something I really want to do, and there is something I do want to do, and that is kind of fix this side of the tavern. So if I jump into free cam mode, you might get an idea of what I mean. So when you look at the island from this side, it's working, it looks cool, but there's just way too much mangrove roof up here, and I want to break that up a little bit. So I think what we're going to do is add a chimney over this side and maybe add a dormer window over here, and hopefully that'll help to break up that area just a little bit. And something else I want to do today is try and actually get some more name tags, because we've been receiving a bunch of awesome names for these allays. They keep detaching themselves and escaping, and I don't really know how they're doing that. So I do need to go fishing to get myself some more name tags. We'll just do that when we fancy a break. For now though, let's make a start on this tavern roof. And as I say, the first thing I want to do is to add a chimney, and I think we're going to do similar colouring to this, which means we're going to need some deep slate, we're going to need some mud, and some other dark blocks. I think we have everything I need. I've just got to make my way up to the roof now. And this is the sort of time an elytra would have been very, very handy, but we don't have one of those, so where do we begin? I think we're just going to make a start here. Let's see how we get on, shall we? One slightly janky chimney complete, and I think that does actually make a huge difference. It does help to break up that roof there, and once again, if we go into free cam, you can get a better look from over here. So as we're approaching the island from this side, it's just generally going to look a lot better. Though maybe it needs a few more blocks on this lower side here. Those few extra blocks definitely make a difference, but the sun's going down, so let's quickly have a nap, and let's figure out how we're going to get a dormer window on the side of there. Or maybe not. It looks like I have absolutely no spruce. This is where a tree farm would come in handy. Spruce acquired, and I think I have everything else I need to get this done, so I guess we've got a pillar all the way out there now. Those two little bits really do make a huge difference to the skyline here. So, with that done, I guess we can't really procrastinate anymore, can we? It's time to go and dig a massive hole, and we don't even have a beacon, or even a good source of XP, so this could take quite a while. I'm beginning to think I may have made a terrible mistake. So I've been here digging for quite a while, about an hour and a half or so, and I am actually now below Y40, which means slime should be spawning, and they're not. This is definitely a slime chunk. I've checked and double checked. I've used mini HUD. This is 100% definitely a slime chunk. However, this is also 119, and that means there are caves absolutely everywhere. And I've been standing here for about half an hour, just peeking over the edge, and not a single slime has spawned. But what this means is that this probably isn't the best way of doing this. Probably not the best way for me to get slime, especially early game. I don't need lots and lots, I just need an amount. And I think I may have much more luck trying to build a slime farm in a swamp, because, well, we know where there are some swamps, and I think I'm going to take advantage of that. But I also don't want to fall in this hole in the meantime. We'll probably use this for something in future. We can put a kelp farm in here or something that actually might be quite good. But for now, let's just cover up the hole so I don't fall in it and die. I really wish this thought had occurred to me a little bit earlier. It would have saved me a whole bunch of time. There we go. You'd never know I dug a massive hole. On the plus side, however, I have now got lots and lots of stone and some other bits and bobs. This box is pretty much full as well, so it wasn't a complete wipeout, I guess. So with building a slime farm in a swamp, there's a couple of problems. The main one being I don't actually know how to do it. So, yeah, I guess it's research time. So I've just watched an Mango tutorial, and I think I have an idea of the mechanics now, and I think we can probably figure something out. By which I mean we're probably going to almost identically copy it. But I think the main nugget of information I picked up that I was completely unaware of is that brown mushrooms actually give off a light level of 1. So we're going to need lots and lots of those to spam the ground floor of the farm and the spawning platform, and that way slimes can actually spawn and other mobs won't. Another problem is that I don't really want to be doing this in a mangrove swamp, which means we need to do it in a normal swamp, and I have seen one somewhere a long time ago on one of our travels, and I can't actually remember exactly where it is, but I think it is in that kind of general direction. Not entirely sure, but I do know that it's not exactly close to here, which means we're going to need an easy way to get there, and that means we're probably going to go through the nether and make a portal there, but we actually need to find it first. So for now, I'm just going to grab myself a bunch of obsidian, a few blocks for in the nether, and, well, we're going to go find a swamp, and then we'll set up a portal before we start the build, and then we'll farm everything, and oh, this has turned into a much bigger task than I thought. I just want some slime. And apparently I seem to have lost my Fortune 3 pickaxe. So I'm hoping I've maybe put it in one of the boxes, or have I dropped it down here maybe? I don't even know. Oh, what the? Are you kidding me? I don't care. I'm still not doing it. I'm still not making a slime farm down there. It's taken well over half an hour for one slime to spawn. It is not going to be effective. Well, I can't find the pickaxe anywhere, so, well, I guess that's gone. This episode's turning into a disaster. I'm going to go get myself a little bit more obsidian from my mines down the bottom here, and then we're going to go find ourselves a swamp and hopefully set up a portal, and then navigate through the nether and definitely not die. So I think I'm going to start my search over by the mangrove swamps, because if we are actually going to be putting in a portal, then it'd be nice to actually have quick access to that area as well. And I'm hoping that there might actually be some normal swamp around here as well. We know from being here before that that bay over there is all mangrove, so I guess we'll just keep going this way and hope for the best. In fact, just around the corner here, I spy a swamp. The question is it going to be suitable for a farm? As long as it's reasonably flat or there's a big area of water, we should be fine, and I'll be honest, it's looking pretty good. I mean, it's going to need a little bit of clearing, but I think this should actually work absolutely fine. Oh, in fact, look at this bit. Nice big bit of water. Okay, perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go set up a portal probably between the two swamps. I think I saw a nice beach over here somewhere. Let's see where this spits us out. I always get nervous going into the nether in new places. Well, it doesn't seem too bad of a spawn. I'm just going to block this in and make it a little bit safer. So it would appear the way we need to go is this way and this way? No, this way. So we need to kind of go in this sort of a direction. And, how are we going to do this? Do we want to make straight tunnels for now? Yeah, let's do that. Let's play it safe. Oh, geez. Why? Well, I guess this is happening then. Wish me luck. And I'll tell you what, the second I hear a gust, I am legging it. Hey, we're almost there. I must bear in mind I'm not wearing gold either, so we're going to have to watch out for those piggos. Oh, and there it is. There is our home portal. So this should actually be okay. Oof, that was scary. My palms are very, very sweaty right now, but we made it. That's the important thing. Now we need to spend a bunch of time farming up a whole load of mushrooms and getting together the resources we're actually going to need to make this farm work. Hopefully have everything I need now. We've got an inventory full of stuff, and I've been loading everything up into this boat because we've got so much stuff to take over there. For this first trip, we're not actually going to go in the nether, but look at all those mushrooms. They are definitely going to help. However, we have a long journey ahead of us before we can begin, and it's very likely that I don't actually have everything I need with me because I've never built this farm before. Let's see how we get on. We've made it here, and what I'm going to do is clear out an area where we're actually going to build this thing. And to be honest, this area of water here is looking pretty good. I'm probably going to get rid of some of the land over there. We need to chop down the trees, just make a little bit of space. So that should be more than enough space for our needs. We've just got lots of rubbish to go and collect out here, but I think that's pretty much going to do it. So I'm not going to make a massive slime farm over here. It's just going to be something temporary just to get us where we want to be in regards to getting a tree farm up and running. But as I said before, I have absolutely no idea how to actually make this. So I'm going to be following a tutorial. You're probably just going to see a nifty little time lapse, and I'll show you some of the key bits once it's done. Mushrooms are all in, and now comes the scary bit, which is the AFK platform. We need to go up 120 blocks, and that means if I fall, I'm gonna die. And this actually concerns me enough to want to put some water down. Okay, so we're at the correct height. I have a tiny, tiny pool of water down there, which... yeah, that's basically going to be my only way down at this stage. So that's going to be a leap of faith. So in theory, if we now go into free cam mode and go all the way to the bottom, we should be getting some slime. And if not, we've done something wrong. Oh, look at that. There's loads of them. Excellent. Ha! We're going to have all the slime we need in no time. Although I'm really not happy about this platform up here. So I've just made it a little bit safer up here, which makes me feel a slight bit better. Not much, but a little bit. However, we do need to go down, and then we need to put some ladders in. So... whew, this is our leap of faith. It should be fine. It should be fine. As long as I push up against this bit of dirt, we should land absolutely safely. Oh, we made it. Okay, everything's fine. Everything's fine. So now we just need to make a whole bunch of ladders and make sure we can actually get up there. And actually, while I'm down here, I'm just going to have a quick look and see how much slime we've got in there from that sort of 2-minute session that we were up there. In fact, they're still dying. Oh my. Wow. Okay. Yeah, we're not going to have to AFK here for very long at all, considering all of that has spawned in just while we were building the platform. So we'll just put a ladder here to get onto this bit, and then we'll just put a ladder in all the way to the top, which in theory should make getting down a bit safer as well. All right, job done. So I guess I might as well just stand here for 20 minutes or so and see how much slime we get. That is extremely close to my face. About 15 minutes later, it's the next day in Minecraft. We actually had a almost full moon. It was like 3/4 moon last night, which means we should have got even more slime spawns than if it was a lesser moon. So let's see how we get on. Oh god, this is terrifying. Okay, that's pretty good. And by the sound of it, there's still a lot more slime dying as well. So we probably already have enough slime for our tree farm, but I will be back here to AFK in a little while. And this thing looks... yeah, doesn't look good, does it? That is quite an ugly structure we now have in the middle of the swamp. Obviously, we can get rid of this bit once we get some elytra and so on, and we'll find a way to make this look nice in future. But for now, we just needed it to do its job, and do its job it has done. Thank you very much, Mango. So I did promise that I'd show off some key features of this farm, and to be honest, it doesn't really have many features. The main thing, of course, is the mushrooms on the bottom here. Because they give off a light level of 1, they prevent any mob from spawning, apart from slime, who need lower than 7 in the swamp. And if we quickly jump into free cam just to stick our face inside here, we've just got a little bit of powdered snow there which kills the larger slimes, and then they break down into the medium ones which also get killed by the snow, and then the little ones just go in here and get killed by the fire. And it is as simple as that. It only takes one hopper to actually get it running. So this is definitely a more viable option than trying to use slime chunks with all these caves everywhere these days. And this platform around the outside here, not entirely sure what that does. Something to do with improving spawn rates. I don't really know the ins and outs, but that's why you need to go watch Mango's video. That is linked in the description. description. And even though I just said we're going to leave this and we'll come back and decorate it and make it look nice later, it has occurred to me we actually have a whole bunch of stone for some reason. I can't possibly think why. So I'm wondering if, I mean, there's not much we can do about the dirt pillar for now, of course, but if we just pretend that doesn't exist, what we could probably do is put some kind of ruins around here. We can make use of the stone, just make it look like there used to be a civilization here before it was flooded by the swamp, and that will hide the majority of the farm without us having to build a massive tower. So I think I'm just going to load up on lots of this stuff that we definitely don't need over here anymore, and then we'll come back with all the goodness of the stone. Now, I think my plan here will just be to kind of mark something out and see how we get on. One thing I do need to bear in mind is that I do need to make sure that the tops of all these blocks are spawn proof, just so it doesn't affect the rates on the farm. I mean, it might do a little bit anyway, but at least not too much. But with the amount of slime it produces, we've got a bit of leeway, right? So I've marked out a rough shape. Let's see what we can do with this and see if we can actually make it look good. We're making some good progress. The shape's coming along nicely. We need to get obviously a lot more variation in there, but the basic shape I think is coming along quite well. We do obviously have a lot more places to do this in, but it's a good start. What I want to do though is start mixing in some of the mossy stuff down the bottom, and I want to get some vines and things like that in, but I didn't actually bring any iron with me, which means I can't grab the vines. We've also been getting through the stone quite quickly, so I'm going to run back to our base, I'm going to get some iron, I'm going to get us some more stone, and then we'll come back and crack on with this, and hopefully it'll actually start looking quite good from a distance as well. Run away, run away, run away, run away! Oh, jeez, this is a terrible idea. Safe and sound. Perfect. Kind of. Oh, jeez, not again. Just keep running. So let's put all this extra stone away, make some shears, and we're going to steal loads of these vines. That'll be enough to get us started, so let's make a stack of mossy cobble and a stack of mossy stone bricks, and we'll just mix some of these up into some walls and stairs. And some slabs, we'll get some slabs as well. And we also need some more moss, but I only have 35 bone meal, which is actually why we're using the vines instead of moss for making the mossy cobble, but let's just go over here somewhere and we'll make some more. I don't think I want to do this in the swamp, so we're going to make use of this hillside over here, I think. Put that down there, and boom, mossy stuff. So let's see what we can do here. We'll put a nice patch of moss up here as well, I think. I think that might work, you know. However, what I do need to do is go and get some leaves. And once again, I think we're going to just leave the swamp here and go steal some of the birch leaves from over here. I do find the birch leaves look a little bit more viney when you're using them on buildings, and that's what we're going to do. And hopefully the swamp will actually dull these leaves down a little bit once we change them into a different biome over there. Yep, I really do think that is going to work, but we've got our work cut out for us because we need to do this quite the way around this thing. I mean, I am going to leave holes here and there because it is a ruin after all, so we're going to have sort of, you know, some gaps. There'll be some bits where there's maybe even just a little bit of foundation and that's it. But this side here is going to be the side we're approaching it from, so this one we definitely want to cover up a little bit more, I think. Look, nobody's claiming it's perfect, but it does certainly help to break up the edges of the farm, and that's its main purpose. It's better than just a black box sitting in the middle of a swamp. I've also just added in a path that goes over to the portal, and on the inside here I've put some stairs in just so we can actually get up to the AFK spot. This thing was also producing so much slime, I've added in another chest at the bottom here just now, and this will all filter through, but that will give us a little bit more storage space. And that brings us one step closer to getting our mangrove tree farm ready. There's just one more farm we're going to need to build before we do that. Last episode, we built a janky bridge in the nether to our local swamp where we made Mango's slime farm, which is an absolute beast. I mean, just look at all this slime. And that doesn't even include the 2 chests we've already taken back to our base. And all this progress means that we are just one farm away from never having to chop down another tree manually again. First though, I do need to clear this massive forest I've grown. trees are gone, and hopefully that's the last time we'll have to manually chop down large amounts of trees like that. But now we've got some space back, it's time for us to build our next farm, and that is going to be, of course, a way of getting bone meal to power the tree farm, and for that we're going to use moss blocks. I did consider making a general mob farm, but I don't have a particularly good reputation surviving those, and during a recent stream somebody suggested maybe I should just make a moss farm instead, which is probably a much safer idea. So to make this moss farm we're going to need some redstone components, we're going to need some lava, and of course we're going to need some general building blocks. And I'm hoping that I've got everything I need to make this. So I have made this farm before on my 100 days world, and I did make it on bedrock as well, although I had to make a few adjustments of course to allow for mechanics. But it's based off of Pixel Riffs' farm, and we're going to see if we can sort of rig it up so that it can also self-produce and self-power and basically just duplicate bone meal for us. And once we've built it, we will of course wrap it in a building of some kind. I believe I have everything we need. I'm just going to pick a spot for building it, and I think I might actually do it in this spot over here. So the first thing I'm going to do is to build a temporary platform, and that's what we're actually going to put the farm on. So we want to go up a few blocks because we don't really want this to be on the ground floor, because we're going to need space underneath for, well, moving all the bone meal around and pumping it back into the machine. So let's just build ourselves a little platform here. It doesn't work. I mean, it's producing moss, which is good. That's what we wanted it to do. However, it's not producing enough bone meal. It's basically producing enough to keep it going. And that's about it. I'm not getting any excess from it, which means it's just a perpetual moss machine, which is not what we were trying to achieve. I have done a little bit of research, and if I was to make this bigger and make a lot more of them, then I'd actually get a decent amount of bone meal. But it's just not really worth it. The payoff is not what I need. I need much more bone meal than that. So we will keep this moss making machine, but we'll keep it as just that, for making moss, as opposed to trying to make bone meal from it, although it is going to need a few adjustments. We can get rid of all these tubes and so on. But when it comes to getting bone meal, that means we have to revert to plan B, which is of course a mob farm, which has me slightly concerned because I have a bad habit of getting inside them when it's full of creepers, but hopefully that won't happen this time. And usually when I build a mob farm, what I would do is I would go out in the ocean, I would go up in the air, and I would build a Nembon flushing mob farm because they're extremely powerful and I absolutely love them. However, they're quite difficult to hide, and I'm not really in the mood for trying to figure that out right now. So instead, we're going to make use of something we already have, and that is in here inside our tavern. I reckon if we made a few adjustments to the interior here, we got some flushing platforms in, we could actually put a mob farm in here, and that will of course mean that we're going to need to put an AFK spot way up in the sky. So, well, that's going to be interesting to figure out, especially without an Elytra. But that way we can have it so we're only loading the tavern, and hopefully that will get us the mobs we need. It's not going to be as efficient as doing a proper sort of Nembon flushing mob farm and all that malarkey, but it should certainly serve our needs for now. And then once we've got that mob farm up and running, we will come back out here and actually finish this off. We'll get it hidden inside a building and so on. But first, let's get everything we're going to need for this farm and see if we can figure out how to cram one inside the tavern. So I don't know if this is going to be a good idea or not, but at the end of the day, you don't know if you don't try. So first thing I'm going to do is actually to rip out all of the floor and the stairs and try and prep the inside here so we can actually do what we want to do. Cleared out the floors above, and I'm just going to put in a spawning platform here, and then from there we're going to work out how the farm's actually going to work and how many platforms we can even fit in here. But I do kind of want to keep the downstairs open because, well, we're going to need somewhere to kill the mobs, and we're also going to need somewhere to store their goodies. So this should do for a single spawning platform, and what I'm going to do is put water along all of this back edge, and then we're going to put some trapdoors down, and if we open those, that should hold back the water if I'm correct. Yep, perfect. Then we'll put a row of blocks on top of these, some redstone dust across the back here, and then a redstone torch there. Perfect. And then we'll do some kind of tower to actually turn them on and off as we go. But when the trapdoors are open, we've actually got one block of overhang here as well, which actually helps to push the spiders right over the edge. And then we're going to have some kind of kill chamber down here somewhere. For now, though, I need to build up more floors of this. So let's see how many we can squeeze in, shall we? So I've managed to get 4 platforms squeezed into this thing, and then they should all come down here and then get washed into this pit in the middle. I just need to block off some holes in places, and then I need to actually encase the whole thing. We've got a little bit of tinted glass for that, but not loads. But it should be enough to allow us to put in a little viewing window. And then we'll just block the rest of this in with spruce for now. We can always make it look a bit nicer once we've confirmed it's working. So far, so good. We've still got all the platforms flooded at the moment, and we can put an on and off switch in down the bottom here. In fact, just over in that corner. However, we don't, of course, want to turn it on yet because we cannot collect anything that we are killing. So the next step is to sort out the kill chamber. So we'll get a bunch of hoppers down, and then we're going to cover this with soul campfires. My only concern is it might light up the farm on the inside a little bit. Although being this far down, it's probably fine, actually. So that's all sealed in down the bottom now, and I think we're good to actually turn it on and give it a go. The only thing we haven't done is actually make our AFK platform, and I do wonder if maybe we don't have to have a connection up there, and we can maybe build a platform and get to it via the nether, but we might be a bit close to that portal. Either way, I think it's worth a try. We're also going to need to put an etho hopper clock down here, actually, so let's quickly get this in first. This will be what actually controls the mechanism here. So the hopper clock is in. Let's see what it's doing to the platforms up here. I don't expect anything to spawn because we're probably a bit close, but I do want to check the timings. Okay, let's maybe give it a little bit longer just to give a chance for more things to spawn. And I think that should just about do it. Okay, so now we need to figure out the AFK platform. This one's going to be tricky. Oh, look at that. There's a creeper in there. Well, that's good to know. It even does a little bit while we're here. Although it didn't drop anything. Sadness. So this is the level of the campfires here, which means we need to go up about 120 blocks. So if we build a platform at 190... that should be about right. So this is the spot, but way up there, that we're actually going to be building a portal. So it makes sense for me to get the coordinates now and go and put the one in the nether. And let's hope we can get them connected. Okay, I need to light up the bottom. That was panic. There was definitely panic there. Let's stick some lights down here, shall we? Jeez, we don't need that kind of stress. At least mobs are spawning in the right sort of area, I guess. Well, it's not pretty, but at least it's safe. So let's see if we can get a platform at the top here that's going to work for us. So I'm up here at 190. Let's just make myself a little platform here. Always scary being this high off the ground. Feather falling will not save me here. So let's just put a quick roof up just so we don't get phantomed. Give ourselves a bit of light as well. So we have our dirt box in the sky. Let's have a quick look with free cam and see if our mob farm is actually working. Well, we seem to be getting some spawns. This is good. Oh, wow, look at that. There's loads. So for a quick and dirty mob farm, that is definitely going to do the trick for us. So we are now linked to the mob farm at the top, which does mean we can get rid of this horrible pillar of dirt here. And we can actually do something to make this look nice in future. So now we know that everything in here is working, although it doesn't really look particularly nice. At least it should do its job. What I'm going to do is get rid of this and put in a double chest, and we're just going to go AFK for an hour or so and see what the rates are actually going to be like for us. I may have got a little bit carried away. It's actually about 2 days later in real life now. It has been ridiculously hot over here in the UK, so much so I've not even been able to get into my office to record. My PC kept turning itself off. But as a result, we did end up going AFK for about 2 hours or so in the end. That little time lapse you saw was just the first 20 minutes, which should give you some idea of the amount of mobs we're actually getting from this farm. This chest is absolutely overflowing, and it appears that we have overflow in the hoppers as well. So I don't even know how much stuff we've got in here in the first couple of hours of AFK. So let's go grab some chests and sort this stuff out. So in that couple of hours, we got almost 2 complete rows of bones, almost 2 rows of gunpowder, and in fact, almost 2 rows of everything apart from the string, because this thing does not kill the spiders particularly well. I mean, they die eventually, but they do like to bounce around a bit beforehand. But for a janky little farm, I'm very pleased with the results, and that's going to give us enough bone meal to at least get our tree farm started. The tree farm itself, however, will have to wait till next episode, because we've still got some work to do around here. The first thing of which is to go to sleep. So there's a couple of things we still need to do this episode, one of which is to remove all these tubes, compress this farm a little bit so that it's not doing the bone meal thing, and of course wrap that in a building. But We also need to hide this dirt box in the sky because that looks horrible. And I think what we're going to do for that is turn it into a hot air balloon. And I think we might actually use acacia and mangrove for the different sections of this balloon. And of course, we're going to need a basket of some kind, which let's just play it safe and use spruce. I really don't have very much spruce, do I? So the first thing I'm going to do is just make this platform a little bit wider, because if I fall down while I'm building this, well, that's the end of the world. So let's make sure that that doesn't happen. And in fact, to increase my odds of surviving if that does happen, let's make sure we've got a water bucket in our inventory and no shield in our offhand. There's always a chance we can MLG and survive. And what I'm also going to do is for now just remove this portal, because we will remake this once we've actually made the hot air balloon. So I guess it's going to make sense to start with the basket. So let's see if we can figure something out for this. I've got a rough shape for the basket in and a ladder currently going up into the balloon itself, but I need to actually build the balloon. So let's see if we can figure out something up here. So I have lowered the basket a little bit. I've made it bigger so that we can actually get the portal and the bed in here. And overall, if we go into free cam, I think the shape is looking pretty good. Not bad for a first attempt, although it's a bit square down the bottom here. So I've still got quite a bit of work to do. I need to get the attaching cables in. I need to actually get the mangrove bits over the top. I need to put some detail on the balloon itself. So yeah, lots still to do, but I'm actually running a little bit low on things. I'm pretty much out of spruce, which means I am actually going to have to go chop some trees again, which is a shame because I was hoping I would be done with that. But once we've got that, we should hopefully be able to get this finished off. From down here, it's looking okay, but once again, the jankiness is definitely on full show there. So I think that's what we need to figure out next. I'm just about done. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's okay. And for a first attempt at a hot air balloon, I think it's okay. I mean, I've done an airship before. I've not done a hot air balloon, but it works. It does the trick. And most importantly, we can AFK up here and get all the mobs downstairs. And from down here... Okay, yeah, that works quite well. I like it. I think it's a nice addition to the area. It does tie in quite nicely. And as I say, most importantly, it gives us our AFK platform for the mob farm. So with that done, our next task is to empty our inventory, and then we're going to focus on the moss farm and get that wrapped in a building. So the first thing I need to do is to clear up all this extra mess that we really don't need down here anymore. All these pipes can go. All of this can go. I've cleaned up the farm, and now we just need to figure out how to actually wrap a building around it. And I think what I want to do down here is maybe put in an item sorter, potentially. Actually, no, let's just pile it all into chests. We're not going to need it that often. And that'll do for storage. Nice and simple. Plenty of space. So now I need to figure out how to hide this thing. Well, I think I've got the shape down for what I want. However, I have completely run out of spruce. Again. Which means I'm actually going to have to chop some more down. Again. But once I've got that, and also maybe a bit more mangrove, I should be able to sort out the roof, get the texturing in, get some texturing in down here, and get all the sprucey details on that we love so much. A short while later, and I think we're pretty much there. I've managed to get the texturing in on the roof and on the walls. We've got some minor details in, and we've got lots of empty space on the inside, because I haven't actually decided what to do with this space just yet. But the important thing is we've got a bunch of chests down here, and of course we do have our moss machine up the top here. In fact, I might quickly load this up with some bone meal, run it for a little bit, and just see how effective it actually is. Hopefully more effective than it was at making bone meal. Well, it seems to be working just fine. We've got stuff filtering through into here. Excellent stuff. The time has finally arrived. After weeks of preparation, including making a bee farm, a slime farm, and of course a mob farm, I think we're finally in a position to build our very first tree farm, which is of course going to be for harvesting mangrove wood, because that stuff is an absolute pain. But we should be able to get ourselves some decent logs, and of course we'll probably get some roots from it as well. I've been messing around with a few things. We've looked at some other people's tutorials and things like that. We've had to adjust some stuff to actually make them work properly, but I think we're finally actually there. We just need to pick a location to build it. So there's a few things to consider while we look for somewhere to build it. The main one being the actual size of the thing. It's about 35 blocks tall, and it's about sort of 25 by 25 on the sides, including the catchment chamber for all the wood we're going to be collecting. and that means it's going to be pretty big. It's going to be pretty massive, and I think if we were to build it on this island and then try and hide it, it's going to look a little bit out of place because the building to hide it is going to have to be even bigger than the tavern itself. So with that in mind, let's go do a little bit of exploring, and I think I know what I'm looking for. Ideally, somewhere where we can hide half the build underground would be ideal. So we need a big hole. So there is a hole here, but that's nowhere near big enough to actually hide much of the farm at all. And in fact, we did go exploring down there during a stream not so long ago, and we found something quite interesting. But we'll save that for later in the episode. For now, we have other priorities. We've done way too much procrastinating about this farm as it is. But I think we're still going to need to go further afield, because this area here I do have plans for. So let's see what's on the other side of the village. Maybe we can even hide it inside the mountain. That would solve all our problems with trying to hide it, I suppose. I'm actually up here just behind our village. Well, I say our village. We haven't actually done anything with that one yet. Our island is just over there. But there is quite a decent sized hole here. And I reckon if we were to do a little bit of work, we're probably going to need to make this hole wider, about 10-15 blocks wider, which means there's going to be a whole lot of digging. But we should be able to sink down a good portion of the farm into this area. And that means we're going to have less to hide on the surface. So with that in mind, I guess the first thing we're going to need to do is just clear the trees off the top here. We're going to measure out how much space we actually need, and then we're going to get digging. Still without a beacon. I mean, I could go out of the way to go get a beacon, but I'm too scared. I'll do that later. A good few hours later, and a good few tools as well. We've had to make and combine many pickaxes to get this done, but it's finally done, and it's just a massive hole. Just a really great big hole that we're going to fill with a tree farm. And I think I have pretty much everything I'm going to need in order to get this built. I've just got to work out where to start. So in order to make this farm, I have done a bunch of research. I looked at tutorials by Iceberg Lettuce and Il Mango, and I think we've finally got something that's going to work for us. But before we can get started, there's a few things that we need to note, and one is the direction that the farm actually faces. So I want to make sure that I'm growing the trees in this sort of corner here, and the trees have a strange property in that they can grow up to 7 by 7 wide, so we need to make sure we leave plenty of space. So we want to be starting the farm around about here, and that should, in theory, mean we're going to be okay. The downside is if I do get this wrong, we will have to do a little bit more digging to make space elsewhere, but I think that should be about the right spot. So I'm going to get this first bit of the mechanism in, and I'll show you what it is once it's done. As I say, if you do want a step-by-step tutorial, then do check out Iceberg Lettuce. The majority of this design is based off of his work. I've just had to make a few adjustments, but we'll get to those at the end. So we're making very good progress over here. We've got the timing mechanism in, we've got all the bone meal loading system, and of course the dispensing system as well. And when we're using it, we'll actually be standing here. And then we've got this big tool column of stripped wood, and they are there to prevent the bee nests from spawning in, which is why the orientation of this farm is important. You must make sure that north is that way, or at least the logs that are going to block beehives are on that side, because bee nests will not actually spawn on this side, and this is where we're going to be sending things through, and of course blowing them up. So the next thing I need to do is actually to build up the flying machine, and it's very, very big, it's very, very complicated, and I'm not even going to try and explain it. I'm going to try and explain it. So I've had to build this more than once. I made a slight error in the very first thing. You may have noticed in the time-lapse I forgot to put these pistons on the side, and, well, the whole thing broke, so I had to build it again, and then it broke again, and I had to rebuild it again. But the important thing is, hopefully this time I've got it right. I've checked, I've double-checked, and I think everything is in the right place. But the basic concept is this massive flying machine here will slide across this way. That's then That's then going to push this chain.
I'm sorry, we seem to be having some technical difficulties.
That's then going to push this wood here out of the way, and then it's going to push all the trees forward by nudging these. And then this machine over here just sort of returns everything back to normal. The question is, have I actually got it right this time? So let's turn it on and see if it does its thing. Please don't break. Okay. Well, that's good. The whole machine this side came back in one piece. Now the question is this side here working as well? Which, it looks like, it may well be. So if you can see what's happening, the flying machine goes across, pushes this block here, which will actually push all the tree blocks across, And then, as I say, this one here sort of just resets it and pushes this column back once it's done. So one change I have had to make so far is on this area here. I was having a bit of trouble where the pistons at the bottom just weren't doing what they were supposed to do. It was fine in the world download, but it wouldn't actually work once it was built here in the real world. So what I've done is changed this bottom area here and just kind of switched it up a little bit. So there's actually 4 honey blocks at the bottom instead of 2. And yeah, these pistons are a little bit higher, but it does the job. It does seem to work. And in theory, that means if we were to start planting saplings over there, we're going to start getting the mangrove trees coming out this way. But of course, that would not be very useful to us right now because we need to build up a blast chamber, we need a catchment pool, and we need to make sure that we can actually destroy the logs once they're made. And something else I'm going to do is put a block on top of this because that's loud and annoying. Just a cheeky little slab there should do it. Perfect. And these ones here are also making noise. Can I cover these up without causing any trouble? So if I put a slab there, is that going to break anything? Okay, I've literally just broken everything. This is not the first time this has happened, and it probably won't be the last. But I'm not entirely sure why that happened. Something to do with quasi-connectivity, maybe? I don't know. So the good thing about breaking and rebuilding this so many times is I now feel like I have a good understanding of flying machines. I literally built this thing 4 or 5 times now, and that doesn't even include all the messing around in creative. But hopefully I've fixed it, and I think I have a better solution for making the note blocks a little bit quieter. And there we go. Perfect. So the next thing to do, I think I want to get the water catchment platform type thing in first because, well, everything else is built at height and I don't want to die. So having a water platform down here is probably going to be quite useful for us. Our water catchment tray is now in, and I've also put up a wall here just to stop any logs from sort of flying into the mechanism over on that side there. And I've just taken a dip in the drink. That's not what I intended. So we've got the main workings of the machine and we've got the catchment platform, but we have no way to destroy the wood currently. So the next thing to do is to get a couple of TNT droppers at the top. We're going to have one on each side, dropping at different heights because this thing can get quite tall. Although it does appear that we're completely out of observers, and there's a couple of other bits and bobs we need, including the TNT itself. So we're going to head back, we're going to pick up what we need, and hopefully when I bring you back in, we'll have a couple of working TNT droppers. A few minutes later, and I think I've got the TNT thing built. I've just got one thing I need to do before I turn the machine on, otherwise it's all going to blow up, and that's certainly not something we want. So let me go across, and what I need to do is just open that gate there. Perfect. So this TNT duping machine is actually from an old mango tree farm tutorial, which is one that I have built before. I know it's reliable once it's actually working, so hopefully I've done this correctly, and well, let's test it out, shall we? And if it is all working fine, then we're actually going to put in a second one on this side, slightly higher up, just so we can destroy all of the wood as it gets generated. So let's go switch this thing on, and in fact, in regards to the on switch, I've actually moved it now. If I just punch this, that will turn the whole machine on, and hopefully this isn't going to blow me up. Let's find out. Well, it looks like it's working, and it's also punching a slight hole in the side here, but I don't see that being too much of an issue. We'll just let it run for a little bit, see how much of the glass here it actually destroys, and then we can always replace those bits with something else. So it does appear that all the missing glass is in this strip here, so we might just replace that strip with obsidian, but we'll get the other one built first. We'll run the farm for a little while, and we'll see how many holes we end up with. We might have to rethink that glass shield a little bit. The second TNT dropper is in, and as you can see, I've tested it a little bit. It does seem to work. I did actually record a whole bit for the last few minutes, and well, turns out I didn't actually record it. I was just talking into a mic that wasn't recording at all. But if you have a quick look at this little replay, there we go, look, see it going? You can see that the farm is now working. However, there is one slight problem, and that problem is fairly minor in the grand scale of things. It's a lack of propagules, because this farm, it doesn't really collect things from the leaves, it doesn't destroy the leaves, so it doesn't produce its own propagules, at least not many. It drops them on the floor occasionally, but that's not a problem because, well, mangroves have a special thing, don't they, where you can actually get propagules from the leaves themselves. So I guess we need to design ourselves a quick little farm. And we've got some space down here in which to put one, so hopefully that won't be too much of an issue. I am very excited though, because that first little run managed to get us almost a stack of mangrove logs and a couple of roots and one propagule, but it mainly is about the wood here, so this is good. This machine actually fit in the hole quite well as well, to be honest with you. I haven't got too much to hide and to cover, but we'll put a building on top at some point. But let's get our priorities straight first. Let's see if we can get ourselves a propagule farm up and running. We're going to need to go grab lots of bits and stuff and things for this, though, so homeward bound. Now, what do we know about propagules? We know that if we have a leaf and we bone meal it, we can get propagules. In fact, what we know is that you have to bone meal... Okay, you have to bone meal the leaf at first, and then you have to bone meal the propagule itself. So I guess we're going to need a couple of dispensers, aren't we? So if we were to have that as our collection system, what we're going to need is a dispenser that will shoot at a leaf and another one that's going to shoot at the propagule. If we have a couple for the bone meal, then that way we're actually going to be getting them twice as quick, I guess. And how are we going to destroy the propagule? I guess we're going to need to use a piston. Do I have any pistons? I do have a piston. We certainly didn't want to be using a sticky piston, so let's put an observer there and a piston there. So in theory, this is the sort of core of the machine. We've got a dispenser to shoot at the leaves and give it some bone meal, and then we've got 2 more dispensers to actually make the propagule big enough. What we're then going to need to do, of course, is put this on some kind of a timing system. So I guess I'm going to spend a little while messing around with redstone now. Let's make some space behind it. So we can probably use a system like that. Will that actually do this one as well? It does. Okay, cool. That will fire both those dispensers, and then we need to fire this one here as well. Can we get away with just putting a redstone dust here? Oh, look at that. I'm a genius. What we also need to do is make sure we can turn this on and off. So maybe if we just put a sticky piston, not quite there, put a sticky piston there, we should be able to just lift that up and down to turn the machine on and off. That's simple enough. And what we also need is we need to fire this piston, but we need to make sure that there's enough time for the propagules to grow before the piston fires. So, I don't know. Maybe let's make a little timer down here. We're just going to be guessing on a timing for now, so maybe just something as simple as that. And then we're going to need a way to turn this on and off, so an observer down there with a slime block on top should do the trick. And we've got all the redstone wired up around the back, which I think should be fairly straightforward. That appears like it's going to work. Okay, it seems to be working. I think I've got my timing okay. I can probably even speed it up a little bit down here. And that seems to be doing the trick. We are collecting some mangrove propagules. We've actually got 30 already. And round the back here, we also invert the signal, which makes a little clock round the bottom here. So we've actually just got an observer down the bottom there, and every time that this piston goes forwards or backwards, it will kickstart this clock. So if we turn that off and then on again, you'll see how that works, and that rotates around, which fires the piston. So yeah, it works. There's probably much better ways of doing this, but this will definitely work for us. I do, however, need to put some glass on the front there just so the propagules don't go flying around everywhere, and then of course we need to make it look good, because currently it does not. In fact, we've got a massive area we need to make look good, so for now let's just make sure this thing is going to be working. And do I have any more hoppers? I do. In fact, I'm wondering if we even need the second dispenser. Let's just put some bone meal in here, turn the machine on, and see how that does. Oh, we need some bone meal in the top as well. That would be helpful, wouldn't it? Okay, so we don't even need the second dispenser, which means we can get rid of that, and that's going to solve our bone meal issue, because it means we can actually load up the machine now. So if we just have a chest here for loading the bone meal into the top one, and a chest here for loading bone meal into the bottom one down there, in theory, we can actually just crack on like so, and let's see how we go. Brilliant. And we can actually see what it's doing now. This bit of glass actually stops us from being able to see the particles, so this is good. We just need to jam it all in and make sure that it's going to work effectively for us, and make sure we don't actually lose anything. So I've just walled it in with some stone for now. Nothing too fancy, but that should at least stop things from going wrong. And, well, I guess we can just stand here and wait till we get some propagules. Actually, I should probably put a lot more bone meal in these things first. So I've put about 6 stacks of bones into the machine, spread across those 2 boxes. Let's just see how much we actually get from this thing if we leave it running. And in fact, while that's running, I may as well run this machine as well and see how much wood we can actually get out of, let's say, a stack of propagules. Let's see what we can do. We've used just over a stack of propagules, and let's see what we've got. Oh, look at that. We got 4 propagules back, but we already had pretty much that stack in there, didn't we? But we have managed to get 4 and a bit stacks from 1 stack of propagules, but it's worth it because I never have to chop down mangrove again. Oh, that stuff is the worst. And this machine over here, from 6 stacks of bones, we got almost 4 stacks of, well, 3.5 stacks of mangrove propagules. So, okay, not too bad. I'm going to stand here and use this machine a bit more because I really want lots of mangrove wood. So I've just used all of those propagules and we have got, look at that. Oh, this is amazing. So we've managed to get almost a chest of mangrove. In fact, that one's missing some. So we've managed to get almost a chest of mangrove wood with, what was that, 3.5 stacks of mangrove saplings. So that is good going. I am pleased with this, and as you can see, we do get the occasional sapling back that drops on the floor, but most importantly, it works. Oh, I'm so happy. So happy. So the next step is going to be to make this hole look good, because currently it's an absolute mess, and we also need to make sure that we're hiding up the top. We need a decent way to get up and down, so I'm probably going to potter around for a little while. We'll see if we can get this place looking a little bit better, at least more acceptable than just stone everywhere, but I am well chuffed with that. Very happy. Excellent stuff. You ever do that thing where you tell yourself you're just gonna place a couple of blocks and then before you know it, you've built up an entire room? Yeah, well, that happened, but I think it's looking pretty good. It's definitely looking a lot more pleasing to the eye than just a stone box that we had down here. And as you can see, I've made quite a few changes. I've swapped around the water so it goes this way now, and that actually pushes all of the mangrove wood into these boxes up here. And I've also raised up the propagule generator. This was a few blocks lower down, but I think it's looking a lot better now. We've also got the boxes here to load in the bone mill for it. I've also added in a water bubble vator thing so we can go up and down easily to the surface. And through here, I've just made this a little bit more enclosed so that we don't have to put up with all the vines dripping on our face the entire time. I've kept the ceiling very basic at the moment because, well, I didn't want that to be mangrove as well. And to be honest, I don't really have much other wood or blocks or pretty much anything. If it's not mangrove or deep slate, I basically just don't have it. Oh, apart from stone. I've got lots and lots of stone and cobble as well. But now when we turn this farm on, the TNT drops perfectly through these holes, which is marvelous. So we don't have to actually see the big clunky machines up there. And if we go up to the surface here, you'd barely even know that there was a farm down there. We've just got this little entrance bit here with lots of sticks floating about. That was me throwing them away. Yep, they'll despawn eventually. And the only other giveaway is the little bit of terracotta we've got here, which is, of course, sitting directly on top of the TNT exploding machine thing. And the sun's going down, so I'm going to quickly go to bed. And I'm going to eat some food so I don't starve to death. Jeez. So with the interior of the farm looking good, the next step, of course, is to make the surface here look good and actually show that there is something here. And I think some kind of a logging camp or something would look really good up here because it is on the outskirts of this village down here and it's far enough away from our island for this to be essentially a tree felling area. And what with this in here being a mangrove farm, that does make perfect sense. Last episode, after weeks of preparation, we finally built our automated mangrove tree farm and I'm absolutely loving it. I also mentioned a hole in the ground that we found on stream and I said I was going to show you what was down there and I never did. And today we have a bit of a problem to solve and I'm hoping that what's down this hole will actually solve it. So if we dive down here, we found this little gateway here and this goes into a mine shaft, which, you know, nothing special about a mine shaft, but I believe if I can remember the correct route, it's down this way somewhere and then up here maybe and this way and this way. Here we go. So over here we have a small collection of spider spawners, which is going to be great for us, not because they're cave spiders, they are actually the worst to work with, but we really need a better XP source and I'm not quite ready to do a guardian farm or an enderman farm. I mean, we've not even been to the end yet for a start. So as an intermediary, we're going to make use of these spider spawners and there's one there, and then if we go round this corner over here, we've actually got another two. We have one just here and one directly above just over there. So if we actually dig out this area here, we should be able to stand somewhere around the middle here and have all three active at once. And that's going to be a lot quicker than that exceedingly slow zombie spawner we have at the moment. That means I might actually be able to make use of mending instead of just using my diamonds all the time. So to start off today, we do of course have a lot more digging to do, but I'm tired of digging without haste. So I think it's about time we went and got ourselves a beacon. And that means we need to fight the wither. The main issue with that being, we've barely even explored the nether either. Look, we're taking things very slow on here, okay? In fact, we've explored the nether so little that I don't even know where a fortress is. And I've got myself lost. Oh, jeez. How do I get out of here? We are out. All is right with the world. So we need to go into the nether. We need to discover a fortress. And we need to essentially just get some wither skulls. The problem we're going to have is the fortress is probably going to be quite far away before we actually stumble across one, because right on the other side of this portal, we actually already have a bastion, and structures don't spawn too close together in the nether. So I'm going to make sure I've got everything I need to survive this journey, and I might even do a little bit of trading with some of the biglins at the bastion right at the start, just so I can try and get myself a fire res potion, because we don't have any at the moment. And I don't have the stuff to make one either. But luckily we do have a bunch of gold, and this should be enough to get us at least some of the bits we need. We might even get some ender pearls as well, which is obviously going to help us at some point in future, when we eventually go and fight the dragon. But for now, the wither is a priority, so let's get ourselves prepared. Although in saying that, it has occurred to me I don't have looting on my sword, which means it could take absolutely forever to get the skulls we need. And in order to do that, that means we're going to have to stand at the darn zombie farm for ages. So I guess I'm going to be standing here for a while. I'll see you in an hour or so. I'm now well over an hour in, and we still don't have looting. But, good news. The next enchant I can get here is, in fact, looting. I've gone through so many levels here trying to get this, and I just need to get to level 30. But this is the problem. This thing is just too slow for getting the XP, and that kind of relates back to our goals for today's episode. But hopefully it won't be too much longer. We can get our looting sword, and finally we can go and investigate the nether. And finally we can actually get looting. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. And we're actually going to combine this with... We've got another sword down here in the process that has sharpness 4. That's going to be quite handy as well. And we're just going to call this Looty Boy, just so we know which sword to use. And I think I might actually put this one in here. That's no use to us anymore. You may notice I also harvested the geode we have round the back while I was here, because you can never have too many amethyst shards. I think we're about as prepared as we're ever going to be for going into the nether again. I've even got my gold helmet on, so we should be safe from the piggos. And let's go in there and do some trading. Hopefully we can get some fire res, and then we can actually go exploring and find ourselves a nether fortress. I mean, we're only 772 days in. It's probably about time we did. As we've got a bastion right here, it should be fairly easy to trade with some piggos. I'm hoping there's going to be some outside here that don't involve me having to deal with brutes. Well, there was none over there, but I can actually spot a few just over here in this plain, which is actually going to be a little bit safer than the Soul Sand Valley here as well. So let's see if we can get some stuff from these guys. Fire res, please. So I've traded all my gold, and I managed to get 2 fire resistance potions. Hopefully that'll be enough. We just want to be able to grab a few blaze rods and also make sure we have a backup emergency in case the bad thing happens and we fall in lava. But before we go proper exploring and trying to find ourselves a fortress, I think it would make sense to go and empty our inventory again, because we're full of stuff. And great, there's a ghast. Now, the only clue we have as to a location for another fortress is that it won't be anywhere near here because of a bastion. And we do actually already have a path that goes all the way to the slime farm. We know this is fairly safe, apart from the big open bridges over lava, but I'm sure that'll be fine. So what I'm going to do is take advantage of this to actually get away from this bastion before we start our search. Hello, hello, hello. What's that? We haven't travelled too far at all. Looks like we have a fortress already, although it is in a Soul Sand Valley, which is a bit dangerous, but I reckon we can get over there somehow. Oof, lots of lava and floating and bridges to go across, though. Okay. I think our best bet is probably going to be to go round this way, because at least if we fall in... Well, actually, I could just dig a tunnel down there, couldn't I? Yeah, let's do that. Let's not bridge over the lava. I was going to say, at least if we bridge over the lava and fall off, we're not going to die to fall damage, because we have fire res potions as well. We can survive that kind of a drop. But it makes much more sense just to dig our way down if we can. So what I might do is drop back down here, which is the way I came, so I can find it back easier. And where did I come out? I came out there. Okay, so let's just carry on digging in this direction, and then we'll start digging down, and hopefully we'll end up on the right level. We've safely made our way to the lower platform, and hopefully we can just run across here now and get straight in. And let's just build ourselves a nice little stair set to get up here, and hope we don't get smashed by a wither skelly as soon as we get there. Okay, we're in. Let's go and explore. Hopefully this is going to be a good one, and we're actually going to get a decent amount of wither skelly spawns. That's the main thing we want, but we could also do with a blaze spawner, so we can actually get ourselves some blaze rods, because we don't have any of those yet. And I am going to be heavily focused on making this safe as I go. I want lots of places to run away to. Is that a spawner there? There is, look, there's a blaze spawner right away. Okay, we'll do that at the end if we still have our fire res potions. We will save them for an emergency as a priority, though. So there's our first wither skelly. Let's get his attention. No, he doesn't seem too interested, does he? I don't like the fact this is in a crimson forest either, because we could end up with some hoglin trouble. But for now, let's just deal with the wither skellies. There he is. Nope, no head. Well, so far this fortress is living up to its name, and it has indeed been absolutely terrible. So I'm just going to keep going and see if we can find ourselves another one. And hopefully if we do find another one, it won't be in a crimson forest, because I think this is half the problem. It takes up a lot of the spawn cap when you have one of these, because there's so many things that spawn here. And we were just getting no wither skelly spawns in that previous fortress. Ooh, ancient debris. Look at that. Well, it looks like we've come across a warped forest and a massive lava lake, and I don't think I fancy traversing across that, so maybe we should go back and try a different direction. Hello. We appear to have been digging right next to another fortress. Okay, let's go check this one out, although it looks quite buried, so this one's probably going to be rubbish as well. Well, I see a wither skelly. That's a good sign. Come on, buddy. Come over here. Let's have a little chat. Can I have your head, please? No, the answer is no. This is already looking like a much better fortress for our needs, though. Look at this. Lots of spawning space, but sadly, nothing's actually spawning yet. And this one looks like it actually has a treasure room as well. That's nice. That is quite possibly the smallest treasure area of a fortress I've ever seen. It doesn't even have any stairs. Jeez. And the treasure was rubbish as well. We got a saddle. Look at all these wither skellies, though. Come on, boys. Come and have a fight. I've been running around this fortress for ages. We've killed tens of wither skellies and we have not got a single skull. And sadly, I don't have all week to actually record this episode. So I think we're just going to call it there. We're going to accept defeat. Oh, jeez, I don't want to go in there. Well, I do, because that's my way home. But not when it's full of stuff like that. Jeez. So as I was trying to say before we got ambushed there, I think we're going to have to head back to base and just dig out the hole manually. It's not as big as some of the holes we've dug in the past. It just would have been nice to do it with a beacon, but that's clearly not going to happen. But so far, we've killed 37 wither skeletons. No skull. I'm bored. Let's go. Question is, what way did I come in? This looks like the place. Excellent. Yeah, we'll just make a hasty exit and we'll come back here at some point in future. Maybe we'll do that on stream and we'll see if we can hunt ourselves some wither skulls. For now, we've got a hole to dig, so let's just head home and get that dug. Making good progress. I've dug out a bit of the areas around the spawners and I've worked out that these are the 4 spots we can stand on. But now I've got a whole lot more digging to do. Later, we've got one catchment chamber over this side, which will funnel the spiders down and into that tunnel there. And we've got another larger one over here for these 2 spawners, which once again will just funnel the spiders into here. And in theory, I should be able to push them all up, push them into this corner, and this is where we'll be able to kill them. But before we get to that stage, I do, of course, want to make this look a little bit better, because that's how we do things. And believe it or not, that's probably going to be done with mangrove and deep slate once again, because that's still pretty much all the blocks I've got. Chambers themselves are looking a lot better, but I do need to go get some water, get that in, and I also need to sort out the bubble baiter. And I'm hoping that this kill chamber here is going to work and they can't get out, but until I actually try it, I'm just not going to know. Conveniently, when it comes to testing, I can just turn on this spawner here and just leave the one running, and hopefully that won't spew out too many spiders if they do actually escape from that. But we'll have to wait and see. For now, I need to go grab myself some soul sand, some ice, and a lot more water. So let's get the water in, and hopefully when we let this loose, it should fill out the chamber just nicely. So I think I'm ready to do my first test, and that means I'm going to need to turn off all the lights in here, which makes me a little bit nervous. So let's put some around here by our exit, and hopefully on the way out we won't get murdered by spiders. So the first attempt didn't work particularly well. I've forgotten to put in the water traps in the top corners here. So we're going to get those sorted out, and hopefully that will mean all the spiders actually get washed down instead of finding their way into the corner. And those that do find their way into the corner will just get killed. So what we're going to need for this is a few fence gates. So let's see if we can get these in position. Let's quickly get rid of all these that have already gathered in the corner. And just to be sure, we'll do the same thing on this side as well. Hopefully, that'll be enough to make sure that the spiders actually go where they're supposed to. Let's quickly get rid of all the torches. And then any that crawl up the wall should eventually find their way into these corners and they will drown, and that will release the population cap again for the spiders. But it seems to be working. We're getting spiders fed up to the top here, which is good. This is what we want. I imagine there's probably some getting stuck in a couple of other spots, but as long as we have a good number coming through, I'm happy with that. Now to sort out this one here, and in fact, some of them have definitely escaped because they've gone into this one over here. But if we get some water down in here and get this one turned on, that should solve that problem at least. And we need to once again make sure we're sorting out the corners up here. So still a little bit of work to do. We're all sorted in the corners in here, and now comes the always scary bit, turning out the lights. Let's put a couple up here as well, just to keep me a little bit safer on this side. I always get so nervous doing this with spiders. If they knock me off of this, then that's going to cause me a lot of pain. So I think we've pretty much got away with it. I just need to get rid of that block there. Okay, we're good. In theory, we should be able to just stand here now and get XP a whole lot quicker than we were before. Let's run this for a few minutes and just see how far we can get. Less than 5 minutes of killing spiders, and we're already at level 31. That's given us over 5 levels, and I'm happy with that. It's definitely a lot quicker than the previous farm we had. The next step, of course, is to make the rest of this room look good, because currently it does not, and I need an easy way to get in and out. And I'm hoping that if I dig up that way, we can actually just have a little drop elevator to the surface. But let's see how we get on, shall we? And look at that dude in the background just staring at me through the window. That's creepy. You alright there, buddy? He'll find his way into one of those water traps soon enough, no doubt. And with that, I think we're just about done down here. I have used the same style as we did for the Mangrove Farm because it's pretty much next door. The Mangrove Farm's only the next island over. And as you can see by my levels, I've been killing these guys along the way and repairing my tools as well, which is absolutely fantastic. And this is so much quicker than the zombie farm. And that makes me exceedingly happy because I've wasted way too much time at that thing. So I've also got a couple of barrels for collection here and lots of space for overflow. We've been getting loads of string and eyes as we go along as well. And to be honest, it might be worth me putting a sword down here that doesn't have looting on it because, well, we're never going to need that many spider's eyes, are we? I've also put in a bubble vator here, which if we go up here, this will bring us out into the nighttime, apparently. I should probably go to bed. But it brings us out right next to our portal, so I guess we're going to have to do something with this area up here to try and get this looking nice, and maybe the path that we're going to put from here to the village over there, if that was to go in between where the portal is and where the entrance to this farm is, we could probably put a couple of buildings down, and that should blend in quite nicely. Welcome back to another episode of Hardcore Minecraft. Last episode, we solved an XP problem by building this triple spider farm, and this episode, we've got a few more problems we need to solve. One of them being we're in a little bit of a crisis. A fuel crisis, that is. So we're going to be solving that at some point today. But also, it's getting to a stage where I'm getting a little bit tired of running around everywhere, and we may need to get ourselves some wings fairly soon. But before we run off to the end and kill the dragon, I do want to make sure I'm prepared, and for that means we're going to need a whole bunch of rockets to take with us. The gunpowder is certainly not a problem for making those rockets. In fact, we're working on our 4th double chest of it now. However, we do not even have a sugarcane farm yet. It's like day 800 and we haven't built a sugarcane farm. Not even a basic one. So that's another thing we're going to solve today. But before we get to any of those things, you may notice I've got a whole bunch of levels right now because I have been standing there killing spiders for about an hour or so. The problem is if I want to enchant things, I have to run all the way back to the zombie farm and use the enchantment table down there. And as tempting as it is to move that enchanting setup, I don't really want to do that. I think I just want to make a brand new one over at the spider spawner. But the problem with that is I don't have any more bookshelves. Like, absolutely none. So I'm going to go find myself a few cows. Don't judge me. 56 leather should be enough. Let's go make some bookshelves. I didn't think this through. We're gonna need a lot more paper than that. So for now, let's just quickly plant what sugarcane we do have and think about actually making a farm for this somewhere. And we'll come back to that enchanting setup soon. So as I said, today's plan is to make ourselves a sugarcane farm and to solve our fuel crisis, most likely with a kelp farm. And with the kelp farm, we do have a hole underground down here. I think that's most likely where we're going to put it. But a sugarcane farm, I do wonder, maybe over here. You may notice I've also grassed over this area. This was all covered with gravel and loads of other rubbish, but I've made the island look a little bit nicer now, which is good. And that also gives us a nice area to build up a sugarcane farm, and I think I do want to put it up here, and we're of course going to need to disguise it as well. First things first, we're going to need a whole bunch of redstone components for this farm, but I think we might be a little bit low on redstone itself. Yeah, we're not doing great, although we do already have a whole bunch of pistons. That's going to be very useful. So I'm going to get the bits together for this farm, and I'll see you in just a moment. I've gathered everything I need, and I think we're good to actually make a start on this, and it should be quite simple. So the first thing we want to do is put down 8 things here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's how long the actual farm is going to be, and I didn't actually bring any grass with me. I'm going to need some grass. Failed at the first hurdle there. In fact, I didn't even need to go get grass, because I need to dig up these bits anyway. Jeez. In fact, I'm actually going to put this in a pit because I want to make sure that I'm not going to ruin the area if I work around it. I don't want to actually ruin the farm, so let's just make sure that that's not going to happen. And then we're going to put the grass on top of these, and that's where we're actually going to be planting the sugarcane. And then along this bit, we want to make sure we've got some lights in, although I don't have a massive amount of these, so we're not going to put them on every slot. We'll just put in a few. That should be fine, and then we'll just fill in the other gaps here. Get some pistons on top. That's what will break the sugarcane, and we'll put an observer facing that way, and that's just going to read changes in this one here, and when that one grows, it's going to fire the pistons on all of them. And then we'll just put some blocks on the back of these, block the observers in on either side as well, and then we'll just chuck a whole bunch of redstone down along the back here. And now I'm just going to reflect this on the other side as well, and then we'll put some iron railings across the top here as well, just so that any sugarcane that breaks doesn't get thrown onto the other side here. We want it all to go into the middle, so let's quickly grab a bit of that sugarcane we planted earlier. Hopefully that's grown up enough for us to actually grab, what do we need, 16 bits for now? Yep, we've got enough. Perfect. Turns out the water underneath isn't actually going to work for us, so let's just quickly grab that back out, fill in the holes, and we'll just move the water up so it's directly behind the grass blocks instead, and that should allow us to actually plant the sugarcane now. Yep, there we go. Perfect. And we'll just switch out this side as well. Plant some more sugarcane. Excellent. So that is the basics of the farm. That'll do everything we need to do. However, I do actually want a little bit more. In fact, that's not going to do everything we need it to do. I need more water. And we'll place that there. There we go. And now as this sugarcane here grows, I've actually just added a few on here for demonstration purposes. When we change here, that will fire them all and they will drop directly into the water stream here. So that should do the trick just nicely for us. We are, of course, going to need to put some kind of a collection system in the front here as well, but I don't know how we're going to do that just yet. So, well, let's stack up some more of these, shall we? I think I want a couple here. Maybe 4, 3, 4. I don't even know. Let's just stick another one on top for now and see how we get on. I don't need it to be a massive farm. I just need it to be a working farm. And I need to go to bed before I blow up my entire base. There we go. We now have 2 farms in place. And the question is, do I want to add any more? I reckon for now that's probably going to be okay for us. It's not like we need loads and loads of sugarcane just yet. We can always build a bigger farm down the road after all. I'm going to go get rid of this rain. This rain's annoying, and it's bedtime. Much better with the sun shining. I think I'm going to keep the collection system quite simple for now. We've just got some hoppers underneath the water back there, and that should all just get fed into these 3 chests here. And with that, the farm itself is actually complete. Now I just need to hide it somehow. And a church could potentially work. I don't know. I'm going to play around with a few ideas, and we'll see what we end up with. So I guess you're probably going to get some form of time lapse right about now. With the overall shape here, but we've got a lot of work still to do. We've got to do the texturing, the windows, the tower. Oh my days. Let's crack on, shall we? Took a bit longer than expected, but I'm very pleased with the results. I've even added in a path so we can actually approach the church, and I did get a bit worried in the middle. I thought we were maybe losing it and it wasn't really going to work, but I'm very pleased with the final results of this. I think it does fit into the area well, it looks good, and most importantly, it hides our wonderful sugarcane farm, which has been producing while we've been in here. It's really not that quick, is it? Oh, there's a little bit in there as well. And a tiny bit in there. But, you know, it's fine for our purposes. We shall certainly be able to, at least, make our bookshelves. And, of course, as that collects up and gathers, we'll be able to get the fireworks as well. And we're not going to need the sugarcane farm down here anymore. So let's quickly go rip that up. I think from over here, that's looking good as well. And actually, if we quickly hop into free cam, how's that looking on the island as a whole? Because we have gone for a different roof there, but I think that actually fits quite well. In fact, it might even be worth adding in a couple of other roof variants as well. We can't have everything being mangrove now. So we've managed to make 19 bookshelves. We've got our enchanting table, and we've also got our, where is it? This one here. We have our Spidey Boy, which is our Bane of Arthropods sword. We could, of course, do with some mending on that, but for that, we're going to need some more emeralds from the villagers and blah, blah, blah. Lots to do. But for now, at least it's going to work. And I think what I'm going to do is actually just utilize this corner we've got over here. We'll get some bookshelves in. We'll get a few barrels in as well. And, what do I do about this shelf? Do I push that back maybe? Yeah, in fact, let's do that. Let's push this back a little bit further. So we need to rip out all of this, get some bookshelves down. In fact, we should probably hide a couple under this wall as well, just so we can get our max enchant levels. And we've got enough for max enchants, which is exactly what we wanted. I'm going to put the extra books in there because they're going to be quite useful. And I'm going to hang the Bane of Arthropod's sword just above the spawner here. Where is it? There it is. Excellent. So with that done, and of course with our church complete, we can finally move on to solving our fuel crisis. And for that, we need to rediscover the hole that we dug over there for a slime chunk originally. It didn't really pan out that way though, did it? So the hole should be around here somewhere. Let me have a look. Yep, it is exactly down there. So that's where we're going to be putting our kelp farm. But before we can do that, I need to get myself some more redstone because we've pretty much used it all up now. So for the first time in a long time, we're going on a mining trip. 30 minutes or so later, it was an averagely successful mining trip, but that should be enough redstone to do what we need to do, which is basically make a whole bunch of pistons. Although if I think about it, we can probably save on some pistons by using a few sticky pistons instead. So we're going to be kind of making this up as we go along. But one other thing that I know I need a lot of, and I don't really have any of, is lights that are preferably cube shaped. So we need to go to the nether to get ourselves some glowstone or shroom lights. Either will do, as long as they're square. The ideal thing to use would probably actually be sea lanterns, but we don't have a guardian farm yet, and we're not even close to making one, so let's just make do with what we can get our hands on. I hate ghasts. There we go, that's what we're after. Can we get it safely, though? There's a lot of skellies about. We've got just over a stack of glowstone and we didn't die, so that's a plus. Let's see if we can get home alive as well. So in theory, I should now have everything I need in order to build this kelp farm. I just need to get down there safely. Or we could just try this, I suppose. Well, that didn't work. But the important thing is we didn't die either. So we're going to be making this up as we go along, but I've got an idea in my head which I'm hoping is going to work, but I'm used to building farms on bedrock, so this may not work at all. So I'm just going to quickly build up a little bit and I'll see if this is actually going to work or not. But my theory is if we use leaves, we can then use slime blocks and honey blocks and so on and save ourselves a whole bunch of pistons, but we'll see. So, test number 1, will these pistons fire? They will. Excellent. And that should fire independently. Good, good, good. So that means we can actually save ourselves a whole bunch of redstone for the pistons. So my theory is if we plant the kelp here and we have it so that these will break it when it gets to a certain height, I might actually be able to step this back. So if we get in another row here and some more glowstone, let's just quickly get another row back here of the deep slates, and then more leaves. More slime and honey across there with leaves on the side so it doesn't get stuck. And just to keep it looking good, we'll replace a little bit of this as well. And my hope is that we should be able to get probably 4 or 5 rows in here, and then we can activate them all at the same time and so on. And in theory, this is going to work. I've got some water in. I don't see why it's not going to work. So for now, I'm just going to keep building up until I've got in as many as I can. And then we're going to put some kelp in it and hope for the best. But we're making good progress. So I've managed to get some kelp in there as well. We actually need to go outside and grab a little bit more just to fill up the farm, and I need more deep slate and things to make this look a little bit better at the top here. And then of course we need to figure out the collection system, and I would like to ideally cook it as well straight off the bat. Short while later, we've got things looking good in here. I have also opened up the roof just so I can actually work out where the building on top needs to go. However, we also need to sort out the redstone around the back here so that these actually fire. And I think I'm just going to use an etho hopper clock so that they fire every sort of X amount of interval. I have no idea what that's going to be yet, but that should do the job just fine. So let's get one of these set up down here. Well, it's not the tiniest redstone in the world, but it should do the job. So I've actually got a full amount of stuff in here at the moment. So 5 stacks of things. Let's quickly run around the front and make sure that they all actually fire. Okay, so not all of them fired. That one there did not. So let's go check that out and see what we've done wrong. There we go. It was just a slight miscalculation on my redstone numbers, but we're all good. So the harvesting is all working. We just need to sort out the collection system, and that should be fairly straightforward if we can just put some blocks in along here. So I've added in a collection channel at the back here. I've put all these slabs in and put some water on the top, and in theory, if we now remove these, that should actually push everything across and over. There we go. We can see see it all flying right into the channel there, and that is of course flying out of a big fountain thing going on over there, but we will sort that out in just a moment with the building on top. But I think before we put the building in, I'm going to cover this whole thing with grass, and then we'll figure out exactly what it is we want to do here, because the only bit we need to really worry about is that bit there. We want to make sure that that's going into some kind of cooking system inside the building that doesn't exist yet, and the rest of this we can pretty much just hide. So that'll all grow over in short order, and besides the sound of constantly running water and this little bouncy thing over here, you wouldn't even know there was a whole farm down there. I guess now I need to come up with some kind of a building design for this area. Some good progress, and we've also got some uninvited guests. We'll go deal with those in just a little while. But what I would also like to do is sort out the landscaping around here, blend it in with everything else we've done today, and hopefully we can get this looking pretty good, pretty sharpish. A short while later and everything is looking so much better around here now. I've got some paths that link everything up to the church and of course to the bee farm and the rest of the base. The interior itself still needs a little bit of work, but I have managed to get the smoker in. This will cook up any kelp that comes from below. We can even have a little peek into the farm through this floor here. And this all gets collected in these chests, and if it's running for a long time we will end up with a lot of it. So I've just put in loads of chests. Maybe a few too many. I might be a little bit over ambitious here. I do intend on putting some custom trees around here at some point in future as well, but for now I've just planted a few azaleas just to break it up a little bit because, well, they look pretty cool anyway, let's be honest. And when we stand back and look at everything we've done today, I am potentially having second thoughts about the colorings on the church. It looks a little bit pale. It doesn't really have a lot of contrast. So if you've got any ideas on how we can improve that, I mean, do we just put a mangrove roof on it like everything else? I don't know. But if you do have ideas on how we can make that better, then please do let me know in the comments. Last episode, we built ourselves a sugarcane farm and hid it in a church. Then we built ourselves a kelp farm and hid it in another building. And that's really helped to pull our island together. This episode, we fixed the church to make it fit in a bit better, terraform a massive area of land in between my island and a local village, and finally get round to hiding our nether portal. So we've certainly got our work cut out for us today. At the end of the last episode, I looked at the church behind me and realised it didn't really fit in with the island as well as I thought it would. And I asked you all for a little bit of help, and boy did you come through. We've had so many ideas and suggestions. I've just been very confused for the last couple of days, but I think I have finally made a decision, and there were a few suggestions of actually turning this into a bit more of a church ruin, as if the church was here before the rest of the village was built up around it. And by doing that, that means we can really break this up. We can get some moss, some leaves in it. We can even patch up bits in the roof. We can even put holes in the roof. Who knows? But it will allow us to mix in some extra blocks and really just tie this in a little bit better with the local area. And besides that, I think we're also going to add in a graveyard, possibly on the opposite side here, just to use up this bit of space. And that should hopefully tie this in with the island a whole lot better than it currently is. I've got some moss, I've got some leaves, I've got some mangrove, and we're going to see if we can mess up this church a little bit and see how we get on. I think with a more ruined look, it is definitely starting to tie in a little bit better, but I'm not sold on the mangrove in the roof there where they've sort of patched it up with wood that's available. I think maybe we should actually just switch that out for maybe even just spruce would work quite well, and that will actually tie it in with a lot of this build anyway. But we've still got plenty more to do around here, so let's crack on. Looking a lot better, but we've still got a bit of work to do because I want to sort out the outside as well, but I think the hole in the roof really does give it a bit more character. We've also taken out some bits of the wall and got some fence posts in there as structure to hold it up, and overall I think that's just going to blend in much better with the rest of the island. Next step though is to get a graveyard down over here. short while later, the graveyard is now finished and this area is looking much better. We've also added a custom tree. We've sorted out the coastline round the back here, so we've actually got some basalt and so on just to try and tie that in a little bit better. And we've also wrapped the graveyard around the back via a mix of sort of open graves, these big ones with monuments, and of course just some standard graves as well. Got to look after the poor folk of this town too. But if we take a quick look at free cam here, we can see the back coastline here is looking so much better, especially with all the basalt and deep slate in of the side. The leaves really work as well for a bit of overgrowth and so on. And with the graveyard, the church looks a lot better as well. I think it just fits in with the island so much better than it did before. So I have actually already recorded all this bit once, but Windows did a reset thing and I lost all the sound. But I did also go to the nether again to go get some ender pearls. But like I said, no sound, so I guess I'm going to have to put my own sound effects on it. The good news is, though, we did manage to get 20 or so ender pearls, so I do have enough to go find the stronghold when we get round to that. We did go hunt some wither skeletons as well, but still no wither skulls, sadly. But the next thing I want to do takes us over here to the other side of the bridge and up onto this field here, which is where we have our portal and the entrance to our spider farm. And if we look just over there, we have the village, which has a couple of villagers we've been trading with, although we really do need to do some work on that. And of course, our island on this side. And I want to tie this area together, which means I need to put a path in from the village all the way through these two bits here, down to the bridge and connect everything up. The problem with that is the landscape over here looks absolutely disgusting. There's craters everywhere, there's holes everywhere, and I'm going to need a buttload of dirt in order to make this a little bit nicer and easier to work with. Because believe it or not, I do have a plan for this entire island, and hopefully we'll have it done by the end of today's episode. And as you can see, it is not a small island, so we'll have to see how we get on. So before we can terraform over there, we need to go jump into a chest boat and go find an island we can destroy first, because we don't really have much dirt or grass, sadly. I feel like we've not been on a boat trip in ages. I've made it back with a whole bunch of dirt and grass, and it's probably not going to be enough to do this whole thing because it is a massive area we need to fix, but we should at least be able to get started. And the main thing I want to do is to get rid of these big holes we've got on the top and just make the landscape look a little bit more natural around here and less kind of destroyed, and definitely these holes here are going to go. My aim is not, of course, just to flatten off this entire hilltop. We do want to grade it and make the landscape look a little bit more natural, but initially, especially these bits here, we will just flatten them off and see where we go from there, really. So I'm going to make a start filling in these areas and holes and whatnot, and I'll see you back here once we've got a little bit of progress done. Run out of grass, but I think we've managed to make a huge difference over here. In fact, if we switch into replay mod, we can have a look at the landscape, and it's looking a lot better than it did previously. But you may notice I've also left a hole in the middle of this area here, and that's because I think I want to put a lake in. And in fact, I might do that right now. Let's go grab a bucket, and then we just need to fill this up layer by layer until we have a lake. There we go, much better. A nice pond out the back here. So what are we going to do up here? I think I want to build a small farm, maybe. I'm wondering if we put a farmhouse over here and we'll hide the portal inside that, and then we can have just some kind of an outhouse or something out here, a long drop as one might call it, and that will be our entrance and exit over here. And then we can put some wheat fields all around the area, make it look all countryside-y, maybe even put a windmill up on that hill at the back there. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves just yet. We'll start off by grabbing some wood, some stone and some other bits and bobs, and we'll get a farmhouse up here. And as we are off that island, it's probably not going to be a mangrove roof and mud walls and so on. We're actually going to do something a little bit different over here to start the transition over to the village. So I don't really have much of a plan for this. I think we're just going to wing it. We'll probably end up actually moving this portal as well. But for now, I just want to get a rough frame down for the building. I think we're going to have a nice little jetty out the back here as well. So let's start placing some blocks and see how we get on. Got the basic frame in for the farmhouse. I think something like that should work. I just need to decide what materials I actually want to build the rest out of. But I think the bottom level here we're just going to do with a bit of stone to block it out initially, and then we can figure out from there what we actually want to do with the rest of it. Got the stone walls in, and I'm going to try something a little bit different at the top here. I know I said there wasn't really going to be much mangrove over here, but I do wonder if we actually divide the walls up a little bit more, more, I was thinking maybe we could actually get away with some mangrove walls at the top here. It might end up being a little bit much, I don't know, but let's get it in and see how it looks and make a decision from there. Nope, I don't think that's going to work. That looks way too weird. Not a fan. Before we give up completely, though, let's just see if the contrast works a little bit better if we have stripped spruce. No, I'm still not sold. Still not sold. Maybe for another build in future, but certainly not for this one. Let's get all this switched back, and we're going to swap out the mangrove for something else. Probably oak. Yep, I think oak's definitely going to work better for this farmhouse. So the next step is to figure out the roof and get some structural support in down the bottom here. Just get a little bit of detail in, some windowsills and so on. So let's see what we can do about that. I've got the roof line down. I've got a few of the details on the front bits here as well, although I think I'm actually going to flip these logs and have them this way round instead. So now we need to get a roof on, and I think I know exactly what I want to use for that, and that is dark oak. So let's get a roof put down. There we go. We have the basic roof in. So I think shape and palette wise, we've got most of it down now. We've just got a whole lot of detailing to do. We've got some texturing and a few other little details we want to put in, such as a chimney, which to be honest, I might put on this bit here. Not entirely sure yet, but we'll figure that out shortly. So I'm going to spend a bit of time just playing around with some textures, some different blocks on here, and see if we can get this looking a little bit more naturalized in the environment here. And I'll bring you back in once we've got something a little bit more interesting to look at. Making some really good progress over here. As you can see, we've got the outside looking a lot better. The farmhouse itself is looking a lot more farmy, and we've also got the first bit of the path down here, but we've still got a long way to go yet, and that means we are not done with the cheesy 80s time lapse yet. First up, I want to sort out the lake, get in a jetty, and get the rest of this bit tied in. Put the cheese back on. Not too shabby. We now have a small lake out the back of the farmhouse here. We've got a lovely little jetty in there as well, and you may have noticed we also did a lot more terraforming. I went and grabbed myself a bunch more grass, and we've also sorted out the back here, so no more stony shore. The next thing we need to do is to link up this path over to the village and have another path going on that way for reasons we'll get to later, and we need to plant a whole bunch of wheat. So we're going to grab these seeds for our moss farm and maybe get a few on the go as well, and a whole bunch of hoes. Completely run out of seeds, and we've still got so far to go, but it's okay. I think I have a solution. So what we're going to do is quickly make a little contraption here that's going to solve all of our troubles. So let's put a dispenser there, create a grass platform on top, get some pistons on this side here, and some slightly closer on this side here. Put some walls around the edges just so we don't lose anything. Then some chests with hoppers going into the top over here, and we'll just finish blocking off this wall here. Put some redstone across the top here so we can fire all the pistons. And we'll use an etho hopper clock to time those. And if we switch that on, there we go. That's going to shake the floor for us. Then if we go down here with a couple of observers here, that will keep this dispenser firing. And then we need loads and loads of bone meal, of course. So now if we turn that on, that should be very, very loud, but look at all the seeds it's making us. Excellent. I decided to utilize the allays in the end, and they're just zipping about over here and collecting all the seeds, throwing them at me, but my inventory is completely full, so they're all just going straight into the hoppers. Plus, it's good to put the allays to work. About 20 minutes later, we've got almost 2 double chests absolutely packed full of seeds, which is going to be enough to do probably a good chunk of the fields over there. We're not going to run it for a little bit longer before we get started, and then we're just going to plant a whole bunch more wheat. We're loaded up with seeds and good to carry on with the cheesy 80s montage. I never want to plant another wheat field again, but look at this. So we now have an absolutely massive area of wheat fields. We've also got a little bit of grass and some leaves and the occasional tree dotted throughout. And this is basically just to have a nice transition between the two different villages we're going to end up with. Obviously our island one over here and the main village over here. You may also be wondering about these spaces here and here at the top of the island, and I do have plans for those. We're actually going to be putting a windmill on this side here and then a bridge over to where our tree farm is. And on this side here, we're actually going to be extending out the village and building a villager outpost, let's call it, in a future episode. But if you're ever thinking about planting this many wheat seeds, just don't. It's painful and it takes hours. In fact, if we have a quick look at our statistics here and we look at times used, we can see that we've actually, well, we've killed 45 iron hoes and we've planted almost 12,000 seeds. So yeah, lots of time, lots of effort, but it looks very cool. And it's especially nice just to run along on these paths here. When you've got all the fields surrounding, you may notice that most of it is grown up now as well. I've literally been AFK here for a good couple of in-game days waiting for it to grow, and thankfully we had a bit of rain, which definitely helped, because I have not irrigated this land even slightly. I have, however, made sure to light it up. There are torches hidden under trapdoors throughout all the fields, so hopefully we won't have too many mobs, if any at all. So the last thing to do, of course, is to light our portal, and I've actually put it here in what's probably sort of like a grain store type thing, but yeah, well, we're using it for a portal. So let's get that lit and let's just double check and make sure it connects where it should. It does indeed. Excellent. Oh, geez, this is so ugly out here. And the interior of the farmhouse is questionable. Let's just shut the door, shall we? It's day 954 in our hardcore world, which means we've got less than 50 days before we reach day 1000. And although we made loads of epic progress on our island, we've built lots of things, we've got lots of farms, we've also got this thing that I need to remove left over from last episode. But one thing we don't have is the power of flight. We still haven't been to the end yet, we haven't killed the dragon, we haven't raided any end cities. But most importantly, every time we gather resources, we're taking a boat and our own inventory, and that's about it. And I really need to stop doing that because we're using up a lot of time just traveling around, and I think it's about time we did get ourselves some shulkers, mainly so we can speed up that resource collection. When we go to the desert, we can actually grab more than just 2 inventories of sand. So in today's episode, we're going to get what we needed to stay protected in the end. We're going to dispose of the dragon, we're going to raid some end cities, all with the aim of getting back here in time to bake a cake for day 1000. I reckon we can do it. So I've got a whole list of things I need to collect and craft before we actually set off, so I'm going to dump down a chest just here, and I will start off just by gathering the things I know I already have in the area. The main one, of course, being our ender pearls, our blaze powder, and enabling us to make our eyes of ender. Otherwise, we're never going to find the stronghold in the first place. And we have an anvil, a couple of shields for those pesky shulkers, a decent supply of food, a couple of stacks of logs, and a boat. Good for catching rogue endermen. Bucket of water, and that's about all we can do from here. So the next thing I need to do is actually to make myself a bow. I have not made myself a bow yet, which, considering we're this far into a world, is well, it's quite surprising, but it just shows how much I've been building as opposed to killing things. So it's all well and good having a bow, but we do of course need to get it enchanted. But lucky for us, we have a setup just over here through our wonderful cornfields, which are all now fully grown up, and I'm absolutely loving this farming area. It's very cool. But we're actually going to be making use of the outdoor facilities here and dropping down into the spider farm. So first up, we can get flame, which is fine. We do want flame and unbreaking. Excellent. And conveniently, I did bring a whole bunch of string. Oh, wait a sec. We're at the spider farm. Yeah, I didn't need to do that. But I did need to bring the sticks because we're going to need quite a few bows here, I think, to get what we actually want. I've enchanted a few bows already, and it looks like we're going to have a Power 5 Unbreaking Punch 2 Flame Bow, which is absolutely great, but I really do want Infinity. However, I haven't actually got a grindstone down here or an anvil, so yeah, let's go sort those out, shall we? There we go, that's better. So let's quickly unenchant these, and I'm probably going to be messing around here for quite a while to get the perfect bow. And while I'm here, I'm going to try and get an Unbreaking 3 book as well, because my villagers don't actually sell those yet. Well, that didn't actually take anywhere near as long as I was expecting. Conveniently, I already had 80 levels in backup, so we didn't actually have to kill that many spiders, and they've been over there making a racket. But we have managed to get ourselves our brand new bow, Rambo, of course, Power 5, Flame, Infinity, Unbreaking 3, and Punch 2. I think that's everything I need on it. Let me know in the comments if I've forgotten anything, but that looks pretty good to me. And I have an Unbreaking 3 book over here, which I actually made by combining a few Unbreaking 1 books, because they were just easier to get from the table. I do, however, need to run over to our local village. In fact, I need to grab some emeralds first. And I've got 52, which should be more than enough to get at least one mending book. In fact, do I actually already have one? I do. Look at that. Perfect. So let's quickly combine those and chuck them into the box for the end, because what we're going to need to do, of course, when we find our wings is put unbreaking and mending on them and use the anvil. That's why we have these bits here. So there's only 2 things left on our list that we need. The first one is easy enough. It is, of course, rockets, and we have our gunpowder over here in our mob farm. Yoink. And we have our sugar cane in our church. In fact, we should have quite a lot of that by now. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. And if we turn that into paper, we can then make ourselves a whole bunch of rockets. I'm going to make loads of them because I do want to just store some in my house as well for when we get back. So we'll take a few stacks with us and store the rest up here. And actually, while I think of it, there's still something else we could make. If I grab... Do I have any? Oh, no. Oh, I've not got any obsidian. Let's go get some obsidian. I think it'll be prudent of us to make a couple of ender chests before we go, just so we can store some extra rockets and things like that too. But I need to go down here and get some obsidian first. We've got plenty of obsidian, so let's head back up and make ourselves a couple of chests. Although while I was down there mining away, it did occur to me I should probably also make myself some slow-falling potions. I probably put them on the list at the start, but I completely forgot. So yeah, we're going to need to stay up for a few days and get some phantom membranes as well. But I think the best way to do that is over in the mesa, because I also want to get myself a bunch of gold so we can make some golden apples. First things first though, let's make a couple of these. Chuck them in there. Yep, we've got plenty of apples. We just need some gold to wrap around them, and I don't really think I have too much at all. Yeah, 24 and 14 there. Do I have any downstairs maybe? Oh, okay, I've actually got a decent amount down here. So yeah, we can probably make some apples. Let's see. Let's quickly smelt this. In fact, let's go use our blacksmith to smelt this. That should only take a moment. Excellent stuff. And while that's smelting, I think I'm just going to quickly remove this seed farm. We don't need this anymore. Cleared away the machine, but I'm going to have to leave the boxes for now. They're all absolutely rammed with just, well, apart from that one, but they're all rammed with just stuff and things and mess that we need to sort out. Even these chests up here have all got stuff in as well. But hopefully our gold is done, so we can just ignore that for another day. Yep, look at that. Perfect. I managed to make 14 golden apples, but if things get that dire that I need to use all those, then I probably shouldn't be playing hardcore. While I think of it, I'm going to quickly grab a few arrows as well, otherwise we're not even going to be able to make use of our bow. Good thinking, Beardy. And with that, we just need to wait a few days for the phantoms to show up. So I think I'm just going to go hang out in the mob farm. Well, not in the actual mob farm. That would be absolutely ridiculous. But I'm going to go hang out in the balloon up there, run the mob farm for a little while. And, well, hopefully, when we come back, I'll be able to shoot some phantoms out of the sky with my excellent bow shooting skills. Oh, that farm is looking amazing from up here. Sweet. Anyway, see you in a bit. The sun's going down on our 3rd day, and you may notice my tools are all healed as well. We went and spent some time at the spider farm. I figured I might as well do something a bit more useful than just standing here. But now that the sun's gone down, we should hopefully be able to get some phantoms. I think I've counted correctly. And if I remember correctly, phantoms aren't stopped by light levels or anything like that, so I should just be able to go run around my island, which should be reasonably safe from other mobs, and hopefully we'll get some phantoms spawning. So I guess we just play the waiting game. I've been standing on this platform for half the night so far and not a single phantom, so I'm wondering whether maybe I miscounted and we actually need to wait another night. We'll stay here just in case though. Oh, we've got phantoms. Excellent. And look at that, we have a phantom membrane. That's all we need, just the one. So it appears I don't have any nether wart, which, to be honest, I honestly thought I did, but none to be found. So let's go grab some of that quickly. Well, that took a lot longer than expected, but that's because the first 2 fortresses we already knew of didn't have decent treasure rooms, which meant they had no nether wart. So we had to go off and find a 3rd one, but we are back. We have some nether wart, and we won't ever have to do that again. Although maybe the new fortress will be better for wither skeletons, who knows? That's not today's problem, though. So let's do this. I need some water for in here, and I only need one of those. And if we load those up, and then we want to put in the phantom membrane to make it slow falling, and I believe if we grab a bit of redstone, that should make it an 8-minute potion as well. And then we're going to be extremely close to heading off to the end, because I've actually thought of one more thing we should maybe do. And shulkers are known for being a little bit mean. They hit you quite hard, and I want to reduce my knockback. And that means we're probably going to need to go get some netherite. But let's get these potions made up first, just so we know we're fully prepared. And there we go. We have our 3 slow-falling potions. They're 4-minute potions. That is good enough for me. So the potions are done, and it looks like we've still got plenty of time. We're at day 963, so we've still got 37 days to go to the end, get some shulkers, get back and make a cake. And that means I've got plenty of time to go get some sand, to make some TNT, to go get some netherite. And it's raining. That's not good. Let's take a bed with us. And before I go, I am going to check and see if I actually have any sand. And it appears I do still have a decent amount. So actually, this will save us from going digging for now. Let's go take this upstairs. We're going to need loads of gunpowder, which I think we've got some around here somewhere. Did I put it in a barrel up here, maybe? Yep, here we are. We have a whole chest of gunpowder in there. So let's just swap some of that out and make a whole bunch of TNT. We've used a whole bunch of gunpowder and all but 3 of the sand, but we've got over 6 stacks, almost 7 stacks, in fact, of TNT. And actually, maybe I've got some more in here. Yeah, look at that. We'll leave 30, but we'll take 7 stacks with us to the nether, and that means we should be able to get a decent amount of netherite. And I think it'd be clever of me to take my fire resistance potions with me as well, just in case. So let's see how much ancient debris we can get with 7 stacks of TNT, and hopefully it won't take too long either. The first thing to do is to dig down to a decent level. Oh, this is not going to be the way to go, is it, at all? Let's try the other side. Well, that worked out quite nicely. We've just missed the lake, so this means we should be able to get all the way down to a decent level now, hopefully, without encountering too much lava. Okay, so we're down at level 13. This should be good enough, and what I'm going to do is pretty much just make a massive tunnel, I think, and, well, lace it with TNT and blow it all up. So I totally just recorded the wrong screen for 10 minutes after we got back, but we made it back with just over 40 ancient debris. We've managed to sort out our armor, and of course we've sorted out our tools as well. And I've also moved a few bits over to the ender chest. We've got lots of excess bits in there, an extra pickaxe we're probably not going to need, and these are the bits we are going to need in the immediate future. But I think we're actually ready to go to the end, by which I mean we actually need to go find it first, because I have no idea where the stronghold is, but we've got 18 eyes of ender, and that should be more than enough to get us on our way. So let's stand here, throw off our first pearl, and see what direction we're heading in. Guess we're heading off this way, which is good because that's ocean, and I can just jump in my boat and float away. Well, I'm only about 500 blocks away from the base, so epic journey cancelled, I guess, but it seems to be around here somewhere, so let's just dig down and see what we find. Hopefully not lava. Has just occurred to me, I completely forgot my torches, so yeah, let's quickly head home and get some. Luckily, as I say, we're only about 500 blocks away, so it shouldn't be too bad, and there's a creeper there as well. Excellent stuff. Let's dispose of him, shall we? And here it is. We have found a side wall, and what have we got? We've got a staircase, some spiral stairs. Excellent, and the achievement has been made. Well, we've got a blank wall at the top there, so let's go exploring and see what we can find. And hear lava already. That's a good sign. That's a good sign indeed. And we've got a library. Excellent. I can definitely hear lava, and I'm pretty sure I just saw silverfish pop up in the thing there as well. Let's have a look this way. Ha! Look at that. Excellent. Straight in. And we'll get rid of that thing straight away. We do not need that in our lives. So we have our end portal room. Oh, this is it. And we've got plenty of eyes to fill this up, so let's quickly do that. I just heard a silverfish. Where was he? So we could explore the rest of the stronghold, but to be honest, it's so close to our base, we can easily just come back. As I say, we're only about 500 blocks away, so my thinking is, let's just go kill the dragon. Let's just quickly get rid of these blocks and other bits we don't need, and get out the things we do need. Potentially slow-falling potions. They may come in very handy for us, but I don't think we're going to need anything else. We don't need blocks to pillar up, because, well, hopefully we can shoot through the corners, but if not, I've got some ladders anyway. Although, just before we go in, one moment. Ah, dang it. I've completely forgotten my pumpkin, and if you've ever seen me go to the end before, you know that I do not survive if I don't wear a pumpkin. I just can't help but look at those leggy bendy men. I'm not procrastinating, I swear. I just don't want to die. So we're gonna go get ourselves a pumpkin. Where did we come in? Was it this way? And in here, was this our tunnel up to the top? It is. Though it looks dark up there, so let's quickly go to bed first. And what we're going to do is put a nice pool of water for when we come back down, and I'm going to put some ladders all the way up to the top. And I guess we're going to have to make some more ladders as well for the dragon fight, which I assure you we will eventually get to. I have to say, I don't mind heading back to the base. I really love how it looks from this side especially. It's looking very cool. The church really helps. Good stuff. So it turns out I don't even have any pumpkins. I do, however, have pumpkin seeds and a bunch of bone meal, which I think is actually already outside. I'm going to need a hoe. Oh, when did things get so complicated? So let's bone meal this, and we're still gonna have to wait, aren't we? So let's just sit here and stare at the pumpkin till it grows. This is taking forever. I'm gonna plant some more and hope for the best. I've been standing here staring at these for a while. This one still has not hydrated. And what do I see in the background? A pumpkin. I'm such a moron sometimes. So I think we're finally ready to do this. And I don't know whether you're going to see this as a quick sequence of clips because it's just a dragon fight after all, or whether I'm going to end up making an epic 80s montage. But, well, I guess we're about to find out. Well, that was fairly straightforward, as expected. But now comes the bit where I'm more likely to die, and that is, of course, going and raiding some end cities. And we seem to have a portal over here, so let's go give that a go and see what we find. Just like that, we have our wings, we're flying, and this feels absolutely amazing. I haven't had wings in months. So, what do we need to do now? I guess just clear out the entire city of shulkers and collect all their skins so we can put things inside them. For a couple of hours, we've raided a whole bunch of end cities, and I've got about 2.5 stacks of shulkers, and now I just want to go home, but I cannot find a warp portal. Hopefully we'll come across one at some point. In fact, just as I say that, there's one right there. Excellent stuff. And one last thing we need to do before we go is, of course, to grab the dragon egg. So we'll give it a little punch, we'll put a torch down here, and there we go. Our reward. Excellent. And now we've completed the game. So I clearly destroyed the last bed I slept in, and it's actually dropped us in at world spawn, which was just down here on these trees, and for the first time we can actually see this place properly from the air. And look at this mountain range, this is actually very cool. But for now, let's just get home back to our base, which is in this direction and shouldn't be too far. And there it is coming into view. Just one rocket got us over here, perfect. And I think we're just going to put the dragon egg on a shelf in our bedroom. So I'm just going to offload all of our new goodies, and then we need to think about making that cake, because we are fast approaching day 1000. 15 or so minutes later, and I've managed to get mending on the rest of my armor because that took a bit of a beating in the end there. And we've healed everything up, we've killed a few spiders, and it's day 999, which means we really need to get on making this cake for day 1000. First up, we need some wheat. That shouldn't be too difficult. We're going to need some milk, which means I need to find myself some cows, and I'm hoping there's still some over here that I haven't killed yet. Oh, there we go. There's some cows. Thank you kindly. We need an egg, and conveniently this chicken over here is providing for us. We need a little bit of sugar, and that is everything we need to actually make the cake, but it's still missing one more thing. We better be quick, the sun's going down. So we need a bit of wax, piece of string, and make ourselves a bunch of candles. And the sun has indeed gone down, so let's go to bed, and it will finally be day 1000. Although technically it starts on day 0, so like, is this now day 1001? Technically? I don't know. But what I'm going to do is put this cake down here next to my bed, so we will always have it. I'm going to add a candle, and we can light that. Woo, a cake. Is this going to burn down our house? Probably not the best cake placement, was it? But we have finally made it to day 1000, which is absolutely awesome. And I have to say, I am pretty pleased with the progress we've made in this area in that time. We've still got a long way to go, though. So there we are, 1000 days in our hardcore world and still going strong. It has been an absolutely amazing journey. I've really enjoyed making the episodes, and I just want to thank you all so very much for watching them all. Episode 14 is just around the corner. We've got some big plans around here and also elsewhere in the world. So hopefully I'll see you there. Bye-bye now.